Welcome to the second session of our Dungeons & Dragons campaign. So, where we last left off, the six of you, well today you're four, but originally a party of six people, rescuers, departed from the city of Neverwinter, en route towards the city of Termalaine, a far forgotten town far-flung within Icewind Dale. Your mission being to recover and discover what has happened to 20 mysteriously disappeared explorers. As you approached Icewind Dale aboard the Terror, a dwarven airship, you were met with roughly bad weather at first, but then, as you continued on your way towards the town of Termalaine itself, you were beset by a white adult dragon. The creature of massive proportions attacked you, engaged with the ship, and started essentially what started was a fight for your lives as you attempted to fend the creature off, whilst obviously trying to navigate through the brewing storm. Surprisingly, you heard the creature, or you thought that the creature was looking for something. Specifically, at one point, you think you even heard it talking in common, claiming that it was looking for her babies, her eggs. Whatever the case, the creature would not relent. And after an ensuing fight, the creature managed to berate the ship so badly with an icy breath, which caused the ship essentially to start a nosedive into the ground. The creature flying off, presuming that it had done its deadly work against yourselves as well as the airship, flew away, leaving you all to your approaching doom. So that's where we'll pick off today. So, Germaine, you are falling at rapid speeds. There's nothing beneath you except for clouds, bad weather, and berating winds. The air around you is freezingly cold, like exaggeratedly so. But you don't care. Really, what really truly matters at this point in time is that there is nothing in front of you except that you are in a complete dive, in a free fall. Your heart thumps within your chest, repeating a long, suppressed dream of yours. What do you do?
I scream. I just, Actually, do I see the others falling around me, or
make a perception check.
Okay, at this point I'm frozen to the hull, right?
We don't know yet.
Oh, sorry. I do not perceive.
With 7 you look around, blindingly, trying to navigate yourself and kind of orient yourself through this deep dive. You see no one around you. What you do see is the occasional crackle of lightning as you continue falling. Your hair whipping behind you. What do you do?
There's nothing I can do. I accept my fate. It's time to die. Once again, I think back to my dream or vision or whatever it was, and it feels like this is the same thing all over again. And I hope that it would have the same ending.
You close your eyes, trying for dear life, trying to wake up, hoping that this is indeed one of those dreams, and that it will just end up with you waking from a fully perspired sweat. Meanwhile, you are also falling in free fall. What do you do?
I'm unconscious at this point, no?
I fall farther.
You're right, I forgot about that.
You're falling.
For a second, as you are kind of... You come to your senses. Oh no. And you go back unconscious. Unable to do anything. You, Vidas, are also falling. What do you do?
I screamed, slowly falling down. Like 5 minutes ago I was on board the ship, dragon attacking, everything happening so fast. What do I see around me? Just clouds?
Make a perception check.
I perceive quite well. 20.
Oh.
Unnatural.
With a 20, you try to steady yourself, steady the fall or the angle with which you're falling, and you manage to somehow stop yourself falling in midair. And as you do so, you kind of glance around, trying to pierce the veil of clouds around you. You make out what seems to be like two small silhouettes in the distance. You can't really make out whom they are. given...
They have the shape of a dragon.
No, they have the shape of a humanoid as they fall around you. And they're a few meters away from you. They're probably one of your allies, so maybe one of the crewmen perhaps. You can't make out whether he's dead or alive, to be honest. But you also see one other thing, another diminutive figure, about half your size. And you, with a 20, you actually make out that it is Frank. And his hand is kind of cast out. And somehow you feel yourself slowly descending. Like you slowly start losing velocity as your fall decelerates. As you do so, there's another crackle of lightning. And it illuminates Frank entirely now in full visibility of you. And you realize that he's casting some sort of spell. A feather fall, perhaps. But as he does so, you realize that his skin is almost translucent. Like almost shiny. A trick of the light, perhaps. Or is it?
I don't know, perhaps I take hold of my gemstone, feeling its warmth, touch, kind of, regardless of the weather that I'm surrounding, and hope to God that at least what he's doing right now is helping us survive.
Clutching your obsidian shard, you hope for dear life that this feather fall will be enough to stifle the fall. You land safely onto the snow. Also, in the aftermath of Frank's quick thinking, having been affected by the feather fall, you manage to land on your 2 feet wholly intact. And as your 2 feet kind of sink into this couple of inches worth of snow, you steady yourself, and you also see around you, with your passive perception, the other familiar figures of the party also landing beside you, slowly. Some of them are on 2 feet. You, however, land face first into the snow. Not with a massive impact, but still in your panicked daze, you were unable to correct yourself and you fall into the snow head first. What do you do?
I see everyone, right?
Make a perception check.
7.
With 7, you look around, trying to orient yourself. There's wind, snow being paraded into your face. You can make out himself, his prone figure, Jermaine slowly recovering, coming back onto his knees, as well as Frank and Vidas landing also on their 2 feet. What do you do?
I put on my hood and fix myself a bit from all the wind. I hear and I start searching for him to see if he's still alive.
So, assuming we're going to take your perception check of 8, you start looking around, trudging through the snow. You don't see any of the dwarf, like any sign of the dwarf whatsoever, not yet. What do you guys do? You also now are in full visibility of Craven, his hooded form now appearing from the blizzard. What do you guys do?
Quick, huddle up from the cold. Let's find everyone.
I spit out all of the snow that I...
Get up, friend, and I go to help him out of his stupor.
I take his hand and I get up and I start huddling with the rest.
Quick, let's find everyone. Who do I see? Just Craven and... but there's also Frank, right?
Make a perception check.
21.
So with a 21, you see practically all of the party. You see Craven, you see Jermaine recovering and brushing off snow off his knees and hands. You see Frank, who is also trying to kind of wrap himself with as much clothing and pulling his arms tightly to his chest to fight off the cold. However, with the 21, you also spot what seems to be a prone, stout figure about 30 feet off to your right.
I try to peer through the blizzard that's ongoing. I think there's someone else in the snow over there.
What do your elf eyes see?
I'm not an elf, but
Donkey eyes.
So with that, let me bring out the map, so we'll have a reference to go by.
Pierce to the snow, trying to get him off the snow so that he may not freeze any longer. Basically, the stout figure trying to slap sense into his face, seeing as probably, I'm assuming he's unconscious if he's in the snow like that.
So as you navigate towards the unconscious dwarf and you kneel beside him, you also feel Craven's presence behind you, also looming, overlooking the prone dwarf. The dwarf is unconscious. He does not respond. You try to slap
Wake
him
up.
a couple of times in the face.
Wake up, dwarf! Wake up!
I shove him a bit to the side and start conducting the medical test to see if he's still breathing.
Make a medicine check.
And should 20.
Craven's gloved hand
Medical hand.
draws near to Drunril's pulse, feeling around his neck area. You can ascertain that he is out cold. He's still alive, barely breathing, but he's unconscious. We need to roll actually for how long? With a 20,
And then I try to...
with a 20 you deduce that he's probably out cold for about another 3 hours, you reckon?
Pun intended.
No, like I rolled, that's how long you're out.
Pun intended.
And I check if he has any broken
wasn't.
bones and things like that.
I contemplate.
With a 20 you pat him down. He's looks like the worst of the damage is like pieces of frost which are literally glued to his skin with adhesion. Just a couple of cuts and bruises here and there. No major, brute force trauma, however, like broken bones or anything similar like that.
He'll be fine.
It's a very good survive.
And I take out a blanket from my backpack and cover his torso.
So you put down
He
your
has no shape.
backpack, you take out a quilt of sorts, and you wrap the dwarf as best as you can, given the circumstance. Already you can feel like the quilt immediately is buried by the wind and the snow, and like in this extreme weather, you figure that he would not survive without any sort of additional clothing. You, as you say that, Vidas, hear there's Frank pulling up behind you, and he says, "It's not a miracle! It's my quick thinking which saved all of us! Goddamned dragon almost had the better of us up there!"
Well, thank you, Frank. If it wasn't for you, then we wouldn't have survived. Come, let us find shelter in this godforsaken blizzard.
Into that! What do you do, Jamin?
So first thing I do is I test the ground to make sure it's not going to fall beneath me again, given my past visions.
Make a survival check.
Survival. I do not survive. 10.
The DC was very easy for this. Like you gently tap the snow as best as you can, your feet kind of sink in a couple of inches, more or less. You even at one point kind of take out your sword, also checking that all of your armaments are still on you after that massive fall. What it looks like, yes, the ground for the most part in front of you, it looks like it's not that deep.
Okay. And I also look around and try to see if there are any dragon footsteps or anything that would give away dragon's presence.
Give me a perception check. So when your rolls
11.
will be no, that's good enough. Okay, 11. So with an 11, you take one good look around you as best as you can. Again, the periphery of your vision is pretty much blinded with kind of this blizzard. You can see trees around you, bits of stones kind of covered with patches of snow. You can also make out additional like debris, like bits of rock, even bits of wood and timber wood and crates, which are kind of lodged into the snow, and you suspect have also fallen from the crash. But no sign of the dragon, like whether it's its beating wings or its massive roar or its footsteps, none of that.
I turn to Vitus and I say, perhaps it's time to look for shelter. This cold is going to be the death of us.
Wait, there are still many of us who are missing. Where's Orok and Lockwell?
They're not here by now. I'm not sure what hopes they have.
I'm not sure that Lockwell fellow deserves to be down here with us. Last I saw, he was scouring away in the hull, doing nothing.
The only reason we survived is because of the mage's quick thinking.
Exactly.
They have no way of slowing their fall.
Very well then, we must look for our own safety.
What do we do?
I look around. Is there like a kind of bridge or something?
Can I?
What sort of ridge are you looking for specifically?
Something we can take shelter under,
Okay.
like a pile of rocks or something, which is large enough.
Make a perception check.
Or maybe a cave. But
12. With a 12, it looks like there is no immediate caves in the vicinity. Again, given the limitations of the blizzard, all of your perceptions are basically limited to, I'd say, 40 feet, roughly. Beyond that, it's quite hard to make out any, intricate detail. Perhaps the rocks around you, you might be able to put together a very rough shelter, as well combined with any sort of adventuring backpacks and tents that you might have on yourselves. Like blizzard is intense, but it's not that intense that it will rip out any sort of tents.
Is the sun still visible?
With your passive perception, you look up. It's you judge it's not nighttime, but it's probably past noon at this point. It's a bit hard to make out given the storm, but your estimate would be like it is at 3 in the afternoon, more or less.
No, I don't want the time of day, but just that the sun is visible. And when we're heading in the direction of the anomaly, were we heading towards the sun? What was like the general angle?
Make a history check. 4. That is a very particular detail, which in hindsight you wish that you had paid more attention to. But given the circumstance, given the attack by the dragon, and that sequence of events that have transpired, it's
My
completely
mind
slipped
is
your mind.
tired. Shall we try moving in and gathering some rocks, perhaps?
Maybe we should start a fire as well. There's plenty of timber wood around us we can cut.
Agreed. But perhaps we shouldn't start a fire out in the open. Whatever creatures may lurk. Might be
Also-
shelter under some rocks or something like that.
So I start moving around and gathering timber and maybe small sticks and so on that I can find, and I bring them to the party.
Sure. Give me a survival check as you head out on yourself to cut out some wood.
17.
17. So Jermaine walks off in your nearby vicinity, of course. But you see him. Do you have any axes on yourself?
I have 2 hand axes.
So you unsheath your hand axes from your belt, actually just one, and you go about, and you can already hear him in the background of the storm, himself hacking away at one of the trees. What do you do in the time?
So that I grabbed the dwarf and dragged them between these two rocks.
So, by the way, remember the roll you got earlier. I might ask you for it. You, Craven, meanwhile, you take his prone form and drag him through the snow as best as you can. Even though the dwarf is of a smaller stature compared to yours, he is surprisingly heavy. And you try to push him up as best as you can to give him some more shelter. Vidus, what would you like to do?
I'm going to kind of have a perimeter sweep around our current area, but I still maintain equal range of maintaining vision of the others. Trying to see particularly if, I don't know, I spot something like a cave or some rocks we can gather or if there is anything of note.
Sure. Give me a survival check. 1. Well, with a 1, you also walk off, trying to, as best as you can to maintain as close a distance to the rest of your party in case something goes awry. But at the same time, trying to branch out a bit to gather your surroundings. But you realize how futile of an attempt it is. Coupled with the blizzard around you, the snow grating into your face, your exhaust itself from the previous fight. Apart from, this array of rocks and small trees around you, there's not much else. Like occasionally you see like bits of broken barrels or barrels still intact, scattered around you. Once more presuming that it is a byproduct of the fallen airship. Might be a good option with which to light a fire, you reckon?
Wait, there's the barrels. Oh, Oh.
Jermaine, you got, with 17, you managed to cut enough firewood for, I'd say, 4 hours worth of burning, if you so desired.
I take it back to the party and I say, well, we have about 4 hours worth of burning.
You dump,
Enough for the short rest.
Exactly.
you dump the wood over here in this stack of logs tightly put. What do you guys do?
We have a way to light the fire. Maybe in mage.
Can I try to open the barrel?
Sure, be my guest.
This is the baby dragon.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to find some eggs to eat. I go towards, I guess, the
Eggs.
This one.
You head towards the nearest barrel, and the hindsight, it is surprising that there are still barrels after the entire fight
Amazing.
of the dragon smashing,
The strongest
smashing crates and boxes.
Can I try to open the barrel?
You do. So
Their owners.
this is going to be a new mechanism going forward.
Oh, no.
Any sort of crates, monsters you kill, anything, chests. You'll be running on a loot table going forward.
Okay.
The loot table, I've tried to build it as varied as possible.
Wonders of open.
Um,
Oh no.
Oh yes.
and there are three kind of loot categories or 3 type of rolls that you do. It's basically you roll a d20 every time there's a loot check, and I will check with a table. But there are 3 categories, as I said. So there is like a low chance of loot, so you roll that d20 with disadvantage. And there is a normal loot roll, which you just roll a d20, and then there is a high priority loot roll, where you roll with advantage.
Oh, okay.
So in this case, given that it's just a barrel and you're not expecting much out of it, it will be a low priority roll.
Well, I get a 6.
So with a 6, you actually find in this particular crate a book called The Unfettered Mind. It is built. It has this purplish hardcover with kind of golden with a golden title.
I guess I take it. Is there anything else in the barrel, or that's just it?
Apart from that, no. It looks like.
Okay, then I
something
take the
else.
barrel and drag it towards where the firewood is being put, so that we can light the top also, I guess.
And slowly, you, Craven, see the Githyanki dragging along a barrel and also stowing it away with the rest of the firewood. By the way, Ben, if you want, feel free to eat here. There's up to you. Or if you want to bring the cloth and continue with us, up to you. Whatever you prefer. What do you guys do?
From there, Shell. Perhaps you can bring the wood a bit closer, so we can warm my friend here.
We're lighting it there. Oh, then I drag it
Sure.
more towards the dwarf and start bringing the wood.
And I start attempting to light.
Do you have means with which to light a fire?
Explore respect.
I have a tinder box. I take out my tinder box.
That's good enough.
They start rubbing flint together.
Give me a survival check, aided if you have also yourself.
Explore respect.
So you can also do the roll in addition with that.
10. Survival. 7.
7. So Craven, you start having a go at the piled stacks of wood, but the wind is making it troublesome for you. And then yourself, Vitus, you also try the same thing on the same piece of wood, and a spark catches. And
Light up the fire.
the wood bursts in a roar. What do you guys do?
Let's light up the fire.
I take off my gloves and I warm up my hands onto the fire.
So I'm near the fire as well, right?
It looks like it, yes. Craven has stuck you quite close to the warmth.
Drudel in his unconscious state goes,
Vidas, you hear the dwarf kind of mutter to himself in his deep slumber, as you yourself also rest by the fire as best as you can. As you sit down, for the first time in, the last hour, your heart stops racing intensely and you start calming down a bit. That's a level of adrenaline slowly leaving your body, leaving you tired and...
I take out my water skin and take a swig, trying to rehydrate from the last bite. And I show my water skin to the others, trying to pass it around.
I take a swig.
As Jermaine takes the skin from you, your hand subconsciously goes towards your neck, once more seeking the warmth of the shard hanging there. But it's not there.
Oh no.
Have you lost
My
some?
shard. Where is it? I frantically look around.
Make an investigation check.
Seven.
You look around frantically, your heart once more increasing in its heartbeats. Panic slowly coming to you.
Where is it?
And then you realize it's the amulet flung itself all the way behind your back. You bring it back, slowly calming yourself once more. This little relic, however meager it may be, brings you some sense of comfort, you think to yourself. It carries a bit of a history, you think to yourself. As you do so, as you kind of feel the warmth of the obsidian in your hand, your eyes gaze upon the fire in front of you, crackling, the wood splitting, and you look upwards. In front of you sits Frank, also seeking the warmth of the fire. And your head starts replaying the sequence of events which just transpired. This halfling just saved your life. In fact, he saved all of your lives, you think to yourself. But there's something about him which doesn't sit right. Something about him which doesn't sit well with you. You can't exactly put your finger on it. But there's something about him which makes your skin crawl. You're not sure exactly what it is.
I clench my amulet tighter, hoping that it's maybe the blizzard that's playing with my head, and what I'm feeling is utter terror of what just happened. The entire attack. I hate to it, or Vitus hates to admit it, but it shook him to his core. So he tries to gather a bit of rest, trying to dissuade these thoughts from his head, thinking it's merely the blizzard acting on his mind.
Because I forgot to place his mini. Since we don't have his actual mini here, I'm going to use a placeholder for today. Right. What do you like to do? You're still unconscious, unfortunately. You're in the roughly, still in the first hour, more or less.
out of 3.
Out of the trees.
We need to make a plan. We need to see where we're going to head. This blizzard, it's drowning our surroundings. We can't see anything.
Actually,
That's what I was going to ask.
Both of you can make a perception check. Actually, let's say it will be a survival, because it's more you predicting whether.
You also perform this check?
Yeah, go ahead.
I got a 21.
I got it.
Okay.
6.
Jermaine, clearly you're still kind of berated after the whole ordeal. But the two of you, as you kind of look around, you reckon that the storm has now, been brewing for roughly an hour? You think there's still, there's still more strength in it, and it will probably continue through. You think to yourselves, from a survival standpoint, that what you're doing here, recovering your strength, resting up a bit, is a good thing, but you question for how long you should probably do it.
Is there lightning strikes still occurring in our surroundings?
You do see the occasional one with your first perception. It's not that intense. It looks like it's more of a snowstorm, like an actual full-blown, blizzard or lightning storm.
what time is it, more or less?
About 2 o'clock,
About
just like garnered. So it will be night time soon. What time does it usually like turn to dusk in Neverwinter? Is it the same?
Well, the thing is, you're not
Time?
in Neverwinter, right? At the moment, you are in Icewind Dale, actually.
First thing we need to do is find better shelter when he comes around.
But kind of out of DM question or RPG, usually the daylight cycle, at least in Faerun, is normal like Earth.
More or less, you reckon?
And if I have any knowledge, or my character would have any knowledge of the timeline as we go up more north, does it also hold true, kind of, that the daylight hours will start to decrease? Or is there some sort of check I can perform?
Yeah, let's see what Vidus knows. So,
Because I'm curious now, I'm just genuinely curious.
make,
Like, I don't know, maybe
Like,
survival or
to be fair, you don't need to roll anything. Like the day-night cycle in general is like pretty average. Like it's not unlike ours in the real world.
It's hemisphere dependent and it's very similar.
Yeah, with your passive, I'd say, insights to some extent. You can assume that the further north you'll travel, obviously, the less amount of daylight you will get in the long run.
Okay, alright, thank you.
Craven, you also find yourself resting there, facing the fire pit. Also biding your time, as you correctly judged earlier. Biding your time until Drunril comes back to his senses so that you can make a move. But until then, you reckon best you recover a bit and warm yourself away from the ensuing cold around you. You remove your gloves, specifically at one point, resting them by the fire itself so that they dry up a bit, and also as an excuse to warm your hands by the roaring fire. And as your palms are extended over the fire pit, your eyes rest once more on your red encrusted fingernails. Those red dirty nails of yours. And it brings you back once more to your original thinking, back aboard the Terror. You're not exactly sure why you have red paint underneath your fingertips. And somehow, these dirty red fingernails of yours, you think back to your intended destination, the gem mine. Again, a repressed memory which you have in your head. You're not exactly sure why you are seeking the gem mine, but you know somehow that you've embarked on this journey and you want to fulfill this agenda of yours. You're not sure why, you're not exactly sure who told you about it or how you came to know about it, but somehow it's like a placebo. When you see your dirty fingernails, it somehow brings you back to thinking about the gem mine. You see something with your passive perception in the far distance, beyond 40 feet or so. A silhouette, humanoid, standing still as a frozen solid. And it seems to be looking at all of you. What do you do? You're seated at this point in time.
I stare back into the scene that I'm used to seeing visions usually, and hoping that it is a vision that's like also it's not someone else that is overlooking us.
With your passive perception, you can make out that the figure is short, stout, roughly the same stature of a dwarf, you reckon, or a halfling. No, perhaps a bit taller than a halfling. It is hooded though, garbed in a full-on black cloak. You don't see its face, you don't see its features, but it stands there in the ensuing snowstorm, looking at you on the verge of this perimeter.
I stare back ready to spring just in case anything happens. And I rummage through my mind to see if I've seen this figure before.
Make a history check.
11.
With 11, your mind races back to try and see where you've seen this figure before. As you said, you're no alien to occasional visions, troubled visions, that is. But you can't place this figure anywhere. Even back on the airship, you've had this constant feeling, which you were unable to shake off, that somebody was looking at you, following your every move. You look back up, the figure is not there. Or perhaps you didn't even break your glance at all, it's just that the figure suddenly just poofed away, presumably seeking shelter or cover from the snowstorm around you.
I keep staring in that direction.
You keep looking, trying to spy out whether he's gone somewhere else, even perhaps looking a bit around you to see whether he's up to no good or perhaps he's about to ambush you. But it looks like the figure is completely gone. The hour slowly churns into the next hour, and that in turn churns into the third hour. Slowly, you feel yourself coming to your senses stronger. In addition to that, all of you have, I assumed now, recovered a bit of your original lost strength and energy. So all of you are allowed to basically benefit from a short rest, including yourself, Drangr. Apart from that, you slowly wake up. You find yourself still prone after being unconscious for that time, but you find yourself staring besides the slowly burning fire pit. Surrounding it is the rest of the party.
Drangr wakes up suddenly. He doesn't stand up, he just kind of makes forward jerking motion and starts taking very quick, anxious breaths, looking around wildly, trying to figure out what's happened.
Relax, dwarf. We survived. Here, drink some water. And I hand him my water skin.
I grab onto it and chug down all the water quickly and just throw the water skin away.
Emptying it, you discard it, hitting the stone beside you.
We are alive.
Drangr just doesn't respond for the moment. He looks around at the ground, puts his hands into the snow and starts rummaging around, trying to get a feel of the land.
You realize that your body is practically garbed inside of this massive quilt, and as your hand kind of emerges, your naked hand emerges from the kind of woolly cocoon that you're inside of, you feel immediately the sting of the cold surrounding you, and you start shifting through the snow.
And once I actually ascertain that Drangr is on actual land, he retreats his hand quickly back into the cloak and grips onto it.
Inching an inch closer to the fire if possible.
What's happened?
We crash landed. Well, except there's no ship that we can see that we crash landed in. Somehow I believe this little fellow saved our lives. Or so it seems.
Drangr looks over to Frank. Magic, I assume.
No, yes, of course. If it were not for me, we'd be pancakes.
Don't speak too highly of yourself. The dwarf here was the first to send the dragon away. If it weren't for his heroic actions, throwing away the barrel and deceiving the dragon, the dragon would still be tearing us apart.
Throw the barrels. What? Deceiving the dragon?
You deceived the dragon by
I should be dead.
telling him his babies are there.
Well, something around here wants to keep us alive, or so it seems. Just alive enough. I haven't come up with a plan on how to get out of this God's forsaken weather.
Well, we know we're heading towards the north.
Yes. However, it will be nighttime soon, and I dread to think of what terrors lie out inside this blizzard.
I think now that he came to, we should start moving, at least to find shelter.
Yes, as I slowly talk, I move onwards to work it through the water, spin, pick it back up, dust off the snow, place it back in my backpack.
Sorry, lad. Didn't mean to. I appreciate the gesture.
It's alright, friend, as long as we're mostly alive.
Mostly.
Gather your strength. We need to be moving soon. It's going to be dark. Winter is coming.
Dranren takes another look around.
Oh shit, they're going to see us now.
Where are the rest? There were there is no.
Yes.
The bear.
Yes, Oruk, Lockwell. And some of the crew members, but we haven't seen them anywhere.
They're not here.
In this weather, I can barely see the arm's length away from me.
There's no reason to believe they made it. We only made it because of the mage. If they didn't have the mage with them, they're probably dead.
If they're alive, I believe their intention would be to head towards the north as well. So maybe if they are, we shall meet them there.
Dranren, in the meanwhile, wakes up slowly, still clinging onto onto the cloak for dear life. He realizes that it's not his original cloak, that he had thrown it away on the ship, but he doesn't really care at the moment. It's providing him warmth and comfort. Also, he makes a quick check, just checking to see if all his equipment is in hand. Is it still there?
By the way, مش واقف stream, I'm just. So, you pilfer through your belongings. You see that for the most part everything is still there. Luckily for you, you did not use any or much of your equipment during the dragon fight. So pretty much your bag was closed during the entire duration of that combat. Looks like it's still there.
Dranren checks to see how much strength he has remaining after his 3 hours of unconsciousness, so that would be 1d12 hit dice. May I take a 1d12 please? Just borrowing it for a second, thank you. 1 HP.
Plus your constitution, always.
Plus
When
my
you roll hit dice.
constitution.
In case even the others, if you forgot, when you roll hit dice, it's plus your constitution.
So, although Dranren feels extremely weakened after his ordeal, which is to be expected, and he's not going to consider it for a moment.
You're at level 2, by the way, as well. So
Yeah,
technically,
yeah. 2 hit dice?
Yeah.
Right.
that's better.
A bit better. So that will be.
On the long rest, you store all your hit dice, right?
No, you restore half of what you lost.
So
I believe something that I need to check it out, but I believe it's half of something.
So Dranren wakes up slowly. He doesn't feel mentally in it at the moment, but shelter is the top priority. He'll think about what happened to him later, once they're safe.
You put your backpack on, recovering yourself. What do you do regarding your lack of garment situation?
He has a cloak.
You have the cloak, that's right.
He grips onto it for dear life. He won't even ask where it came from. And case in point, let me get the cloak out.
You fasten the cloak, obviously welcoming the limited warmth that it gives you, acknowledging that it's not the best protection, but it is some protection against the ensuing blizzard. And as you kind of look around, preparing and seeing the rest of your party also coming to their feet and also kind of putting their backpacks on in preparation to move ahead, with your passive perception, you realize that there are 2 silhouettes on the edge of like your vision. You look around past these 2 couple of rocks over here, and you realize that from this direction there is somebody, humanoid, approaching you.
For the love of God, not again.
See this or
You see the dwarf react, and you look to his direction where he's looking at, and you also see the same thing. The rest of you also follow suit.
that's someone I see.
It seems we're still not entirely out of danger.
I put on my gauntlets. Put my gauntlets back on.
We haven't started moving yet. We're just.
You were about to get up, pack your makeshift camp, and prepare to move ahead.
Be wary.
Draw my sword and ready my sheath.
I shout, "Oi! Who goes there?"
No, lad. It's better to take the stealthy approach.
We are at
Too
the
late.
fire. Alright,
We'll put out the fire and be stealthy.
Precision knife solid.
I shout still.
As you shout, your voice is immediately lost in the echo of the wind, and you see the figure now too. Actually, 3 of them start approaching you closer and closer.
Drandrel puts out the fire quickly with his feet and hides under a rock.
You sift the snow as best as you can, trying to stifle the fire, and you dart behind one of the rocks. I mean, be my guest to move around this as well.
Which direction are they coming from?
So they are coming from this direction.
Okay. I guess I take heed of what my party is doing and follow their lead.
You see the dwarf
So,
trying to
crouch next to
crouch
the dwarf.
behind one of the rocks over there.
I put one hand over his shoulder and say, "What do you think?"
No.
From this direction,
I don't
relatively.
know. Can't see that well.
Jermaine, you also crouch behind one of the rocks, shield at the ready and sword drawn next to you. What do you do, Craven?
I create a minor illusion of a shadowy figure who may be kind of hiding there,
Okay.
just to humanize.
He has a miniature of a minor illusion of a shadowy figure.
Is this part of the Caladon over?
Anything I take out from behind me is Caladon Overlord.
Overlord DLC.
We are not sponsored by Games Workshop.
Caladon Overlord.
Kind of hiding behind that, whatever that is.
Like, what sort of attempt are you trying to do? Like, is it specific to trying to
see
hide?
How they react,
How they react to
see someone there.
Okay. So make a performance check with the shadowy figure.
A long rest up to half your amount of hit dice, basically.
My performance actually.
Not all the hit dice.
No, up to half.
Seriously?
Sorry, Tommy, I'm calling to do 2 long
Okay.
rests, basically.
So with the 13, you realize that these figures have continued moving, and they seem to. You see one of them looking actively either towards the rocks or towards the figure. You can't make out because again, it's limited vision, and also the fact that the shadow is also perpendicular, like it's in front of you. So you're not exactly sure whether they're pointing at it or yourself.
Do I notice at him casting this shadow?
Yes, all of you see this.
Okay.
You also make out over the dim of the wind, like voices now approaching you as these figures get closer and closer. You realize now it's not just 3 of them, but there's actually 2 more
So far.
also coming from behind.
Over here! Yeah, the dwarf! Dwarf is hiding here! Prepare! Circle them! Weapons out, remember! Take him alive! Kill the others!
Do we hear all
Move,
this?
move!
You all of you hear this.
Nico might check.
I need all of you to roll for initiative. The fish-like figures approaching you, bearing what seem to be like a manner of tridents, long hooked sights, have a 12 and a 6 on keeping 2 initiative tracks.
Fish is 1, fish is 2. What's your modifier, Ben?
Dexterity minus 1. Actually, hardships. My difficulty. E. Minus 1.
What kind of fighter
Okay.
are you?
What kind of fighter?
So-
Sneaky fighter.
Shall we take stealth checks? Since we're trying to hide?
I also need to roll for Frank, right?
Yes.
Frank rolled an 18.
Voilà. What's his dex modifier?
That is the-
I will check really quickly.
What's your dex modifier? 2. I assume Frank's is less.
Frank's is 2 as well. So we can act on the same turn, essentially.
Alright.
Is it possible to roll up between you two?
No, it's actually in D&D, you decide at that point. It's to your advantage,
That's
basically.
good.
So, shall we take stealth checks before...
I rolled against your passive stealth, actually, and I
Ah,
rolled
okay.
higher than that. That's how I... it's not a surprise round or the other way around.
So, even though you are actively trying to hide.
Since you didn't actively tell me beforehand that you were trying to be stealthy, I took your stealth checks. I knew you were trying to be stealthy. You didn't actively tell me I want to roll a
Okay,
stealth
so
roll.
we tell them next time.
Yeah.
Okay,
But
okay,
I mean,
fair
I
enough.
took your passive stealth.
No, alright.
It works both ways because in theory you can roll worse than your passive stealth.
Alright.
Well,
So, first turn is Vitus.
okay. Now, having unsheathed my sword and shield, I don't know. I go behind the rocks, kind of, waiting their assault. On me, lads.
Shade square.
Yes.
On me, lad.
What else do you do?
That's it. I just wait for them. By the way, can I actually take a perception to count that there are actually 5 and not more around that?
Of course, that would be a free action on your part.
10.
So with that 10, so first of all, you get on your 2 feet, standing up. Are your weapons unsheathed by any chance?
I take them out now if they're not.
And remind me, you are wearing a shield and
a shield and the long sword.
the long sword. So
I take out the shield of my
moving from behind the piece of rock over here, and your shield from behind your back, you
Actually, the
move
other way around because my character is left-handed. So
just an inch forward, and you notice hesitancy in the Githyanki as he kind of moves away. A part of him looking outwards, in front of him, looking at your enemies, at the same time also looking towards you, seeing how you're going to react and whether you have his back. You also look around and you don't see anybody else, but again, the dim of the snow, it's not good, the visibility is very poor, and basically the only thing which is concerning you at this point in time are these 5 fish people which are approaching you.
Alright.
So I do that feast.
Next up is Craven and Frank.
Do you want to go first? I'll go first. So Frank will let's see what good things he has to do here.
Fireball.
If he has that sort of thing, because again he's out of spell slots I think after the previous fight. I know how much he has because he told me. It's just that I don't want to burn it out now.
Fun on fireball.
Right, he's going to use. He'll use Mind Sliver against one of them. I believe Mind Sliver is a Wisdom saving throw from my end, which I succeed, so nothing happens.
You go, Frank.
You, not as in Frank, succeeds.
No,
the
no,
fish
no.
people
The fish
succeed.
people succeed.
Fishman or fishwoman succeed.
Frank will not move away. In fact, he will just stay there. Yes.
Okay, I'll touch myself.
Okay.
That's my German. This
Okay.
is 3G, okay?
Still crouching behind the rock, you quickly don your gloves on, and you cast the incantation, muttering it to yourself. And for a second there, Drunril, you see kind of arcane runes for a split second appear around him, like in a circle which orbits around him, and then they vanish. What else do you do? You angle yourself, positioning your position essentially behind the Githyanki. Who's next?
So, yes, I need to say, sorry. So that is the fishes one.
Fishes one.
The fish is still, I mean, I guess that one's their leader. So.
I don't know which one is fishes one. We'll
That
find
is
out in a
what
few
it
seconds.
Says you.
Fish is one, coming right up. Fish is one, coming right up.
Seeing what I can do, so I will do Sacred Flame
What? Just
onto
What the fuck does that do?
onto yourself, Vidas.
Okay.
You will find
Oh,
out.
yeah.
Fish is one. Fish is
Can
one.
you lend me the PHB really quick so I remember what it does? Yeah.
Okay, he's not going
Sacred flame.
Maybe it's a buff, who knows?
I believe it's a wisdom or dex saving
I
throw.
don't know.
Okay.
Roll a dice, please.
But let me confirm
And
But
because it's been a while.
I do not consider really us.
Can I check it? Or you want to check?
If you want, go ahead.
Okay.
Sacred thing.
Make it easier.
Secret.
So, dexterity saving throw.
Dexterity.
Vidas, please.
Yeah. Radiant damage.
You
But
got
target
that?
gains no benefit from cover. That's
Yep.
why I hid it from the rocks. Oh, is it behind them?
So it's your up.
I got 6. Which I did a trade. My dex was +7, yeah.
Oh my
7. So you take actually 1
Yeah,
point
no.
of radiant damage.
1 point of radiant damage.
1 point of radiant.
He rolled really crap. The D8.
Not
Yes.
very sacred flame.
Slightly sacred.
Actually, I am not sure if the spellcasting modifier gets added to it.
Mildly
No,
blessed.
It doesn't, right?
No. There's like Eldritch Blast and stuff like that gets added.
You hear the fish creature shouting out with a high-pitched voice, trying to overcome the dim of the storm.
Burn him! I beseech you!
Not enough
And you
disease.
feel your armor heating up, at first very pleasantly to fight off the storm, but then it becomes unbearably hot for a split second, scorching your
I
insides.
kind of try to rip it out until the effect fades away. They're like, oh, you little scoundrel.
1, 2, 3, 4. You will move over. That's its turn.
Fishes too.
Fishes too. Oh, it's very convenient as
Fish
well.
1 and 2.
So technically you can just combine both into a single turn.
Yeah,
Fish is
noted.
one.
Right. So this fish over here will 1, 2, 3, 4,
This one is an illusion master!
and the fish overlord, which you assume is in command, shouts out,
Ignore it! Get the dwarf!
and this guy dashes towards you. He dashes.
I see a fish person in front of me suddenly.
The creature is taller than you. He's humanoid. He bears 2 feet, 2 arms. His head is less human though. It's more like it's fish-like with tentacles, and where you'd see facial hair, there are more tentacles coming there. Fishy claws with kind of scales around the wrists. He's holding what seems to be, all of them seem to be holding like scythes or like pincer-like tools. So that's its turn.
Fish dwarves go.
My cousins.
Fish dwarves go.
I will neither confirm nor deny that.
Mere dwarfs. Same generation.
They have adapted to the ice.
7, 8, 9,
My progeny.
10, 11, 12.
My uncle's progeny. Oh my. Oh me, oh my.
Right, they move like that, so 30 feet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This guy also dashed, so he cannot attack you. And this guy will 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. This guy also dashed over there.
No. Long rest. No? Long rest.
To your surprise, you also realize that there are more of them.
Of course, this is why you look around.
Of course!
But their stealth check was actually very high compared to your roll, so only now do you realize that they are ambushing you from the other side as well.
Very good. Now we need a firewood.
So that is my turn. Who goes next?
It is my turn to strike out at my own cousins.
Like,
What a world we live in. I'm searching for my D20 to be honest. So, as I'm hiding under the rock, peering out and seeing these strange fish persons approach, who are apparently looking for me because I am the only dwarf I know of in the vicinity. Gandril ducks beneath the stone. He takes a long breath in, deep one, releases it, casts off his cloak, reaches into his backpack, takes out the his closed tankard, takes a swig, and pushes it back. He can't muster enough energy to enter into his drunken fighting style. The past events have been too harrowing for him, but he does take out his great axe, and as he rises, he meets a fish person ready to be cut in half.
okay, so you can take out one single item, which is either your axe or your mug,
Alright, fair enough.
with a free action. However, if you're not going to attack, you can use your action, your proper action, instead of attacking to draw the axe.
I see. So seeing the fish person approach, he just takes out his axe
Cool. That's your free action, and you can attack, yeah.
and goes to strike. But he is quite angered by these strange fish people who have disturbed his rest. He just wants to rest. He wants to find shelter, take a long sleep, and get shit-faced drunk.
Oh, fair enough.
So he's angry and he's going to use his reckless attack.
Go for it.
So rolling with advantage, he is pretty angry. So 17, first one, so that's 19, 21.
21 hits.
So D12 please. Alright. So that would be a 5. You know?
Next roll.
And he does cast off his cloak, shrugging it off.
As you cast it off, the fishman in front of you realizes that there's this menacing great axe behind your back, which you very gladly reach for. And as he turns around the corner, now you with yourself in full sight, you bring your axe, and that's the first thing it meets. The axe slashes it, kind of grazing the sticky shield, which has like slime dripping from it. It slams into it, but at the same time, it like damages the shield and also buries itself into the fishman's arm.
Go back to whichever cave or river you came from.
Who's next?
What's your name?
I am demoralized after hearing the cry of the murder of the fish people. Fish dwarfs, sorry. So this guy is in cover here from any thrown.
That's right.
I'm guessing. Okay.
Is this history?
Okay, I take a swipe at the guy in front of me.
All right.
Oh guys, it's game.
Ooh, natural 20. Plus 5 to be 25. That's
Very nice.
Yeah. 8 plus 8.
By the way, don't forget the GoPro, or shoot footage with your mobiles if you really want. That's really nice. What is the spot?
8 plus 5, 13, plus 2 would be 15. Plus 2 would be minus 1. Yeah, 15 damage.
And
Slashing.
you did count the crit, right?
Yeah.
Good. So as the fishman kind of darts from behind the tree towards you, you meet it with shield in front of you and sword at the ready. And as it rushes into you, head first into the shield, you kind of attribute this or remember yourself in a distant battle where you were meeting a charge full on in a similar position. As the creature slams into your shield, You break its momentum, and as it kind of loses balance, as if it's about to hit the snow, you kind of reach out with your short sword and you pierce it through the throat, and immediately retract it back, killing the creature instantly.
Gotcha, bitch.
Who's next?
Can I also move as well, or
I have moved.
I'd like to.
It's usually deserted.
Yes. 1, 2, 3.
As the second creature kind of evades the corpse of its fallen comrade, stumbling past it, use it to your advantage to reposition yourself in a better angle.
Actually, here.
Cool.
Still be engaged.
Who goes next?
So after that, top of the round, Midas.
Midas seeing that his dwarf ally is having a bit of roughing up, I go to aid him.
Remember, when you move through allies or diagonally, it's difficult terrain.
Okay, now I
Still.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Cool.
And I strike at the same target.
Go at it.
14.
14 hits.
It hits, okay. I slice him with my longsword. Dealing, I don't know how many points of damage. Okay. 9 points of slashing damage.
9 points of slashing damage. You dart up past Dranril, bringing your sword to bear. The creature is already wounded, kind of recovering from the buried axe inside of its arm. You use it to your advantage to hack off its head with a clean swipe. And the creature falls into the snow with purplish, ichorish-like blood immediately pouring into the
I try to avoid
ground.
that blood, but I still have 2 points of movement and I rush to meet the other
Fish.
Who goes next?
So, Raven or Frank?
Up to you.
Okay. I hide behind these rocks, making it hard for that guy to see me. And I peek through and cast Force Field.
On the creature over here? Okay. I believe that's some sort of wisdom saving throw.
Are you wise?
Are you wise enough?
It's called. So, and what do you tell it? Or-
It makes it fear for its life.
So it has to run away.
And what is the DC?
13.
So you dart behind this rock over here, fully aware that Jermaine has just felled one of the creatures charging him and is now kind of maneuvering around the second one. And with him to your side and trying to block out all of that confusion and chaos, you mouth the words as you kind of... It's a cantrip, right?
No, it's a first.
Like, so as you kneel behind the rock over there, you take out your spellbook, finds the page, you incant it at the same time looking outwards towards the creature over there, and you tell it nothing. It seems, and
it awakens a sense of mortality in the
you try to tap into its mind, trying to instill it with your darkest, deepest thoughts. The creature shouts out something incoherent. For a second, it looks like it's about to flee, but it holds there. It looks at you.
Kill him! That one in particular with the hooded cloak! Kill him!
If you did the charms in 3 years.
What has you?
That's it. I just duck behind the rocks to make myself as small as possible.
Fair enough. Frank will attempt to do another mind sliver. He has one spell slot left, which I really don't want to just spend freely in case shit goes wrong.
No, that one spell slot you used on the feather fall.
But he gained a new one due to level 2.
He rested or another.
Rest doesn't get
He's not a wizard.
He's a janitor.
He's a what?
Slime janitor.
He will try and do the same as you're doing. He'll actually move between the two of you for a greater shelter. Realizing that there's actually more of them behind you, as he's about to target that one, he turns around instead and tries to mind sliver this guy over there. So the creature fails it, and mind sliver is D6, right?
I think it's these days.
It's
Yes, how much?
Tasha's CD.
I rolled a die. I just don't know if it's the correct one.
Mind sliver.
Should I search for it?
Aż muszę HP. I think it's in Tasha's.
Should be Mind Sliver.
Mind Sliver.
Mind sliver.
Oh, you drive because of it. One action, one round, 1d6.
This is a wisdom saving throw, right? Or
So,
intelligence.
Intelligence.
Okay. So he failed it, and he actually takes 6 points of psychic damage.
What's it? That's good.
And the first time it makes a saving throw before the end of your next turn, it must roll a d4 and subtract number rolled from save.
Noted. So this guy is under the effect of mind sliver.
He has been slivered.
He has been slivered.
Mine.
Who's next?
What is he his mind? Fish is 1. And fish
Does
is
an
1.
AC count as a saving throw?
Does it?
It does not. That's usually it's an attack roll against AC. Okay, so Fishman number 1 will take a jab at you, Vitus.
I hold my shield.
And the Fishman's attempts are futile against your shield as they try to berate you. The second Fishman will try to do the same against you. What's your AC?
AC 80.
Ooh, that's quite high. So no. He also tries to pierce your thick armor. However, it does not manage to penetrate it.
Gabriel, I don't want to say this, but there was Fishman 1.
He's in my mind, I know.
He's slivering your mind.
But since they're interchangeable, I decided not to mix them up a bit. Okay. So,
Sure. Fish sniper.
They have guns.
They have guns.
he does. In fact, he will move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, here well, he's behind it technically.
If he's behind cover, am I behind cover?
Yeah, he's exactly behind it, is what I'm saying. Like, if he was another square further up, then yes, it would count as cover for both of you. But since he's behind it, he's kind of aiming from behind it. He aims his fishnet gun at you, and I need you to make a dexterity saving throw for me. Sorry, a strength check.
Bred for combat.
Fishnet gun. Strength check or strength saving throw?
It is a strength check.
Can I take an acrobatics or athletics check to jump all of the way?
It is a strength check, unfortunately.
Oh no. Not a strength check. Not a strength check, I get 5.
It's actually, I think the wording here is really strange on this stat block. It's not something I made up, because usually it's like a DC 10 strength saving throw or anything, but this is specifically a strength check. But anyways, okay.
You got 5.
You got a 5. So the net envelops you, and once more you're embedded in a cocoon. This time not of cloth, but an actual net. You are restrained, and that's practically it. You are restrained going forward. So restrained, just to remind you, is, where is the rule? I'm looking for the rule. So your speed is 0. Attack rolls against you have advantage, and your attack rolls are done with disadvantage. Furthermore, you have disadvantage on dexterity saving throws.
I think I can attempt to break free. Right?
You can attack it in your turn, yes.
I want to break free.
So that is the fish gun. The second fish gun over here.
Second fish gun. What? Where did he come
1,
from?
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We'll aim it at you this time. So I need you to make also a DC 10
You have
strength check.
Thank goodness.
No.
The fish gun strikes again. The net catches you from behind, full surprise.
5, 8.
It's still not enough.
enough.
And you are also now restrained, as your attempts to break away with the shield and the short sword are even more kind of detrimental, as you get even more caught up and wound in the net.
what does restraint do to reach a disadvantage?
5, 6, 7, 8. And this guy dashes towards you. And this guy will also dash 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 towards you, Craven.
Yeah, that's not natural.
This fishman over here.
This by 3 feet.
Fish folk. Merfolk.
Not the Lazio or something like that.
Oh, it's very long.
These are chili peppers.
Very hard wood there.
Yeah, that's
Very hard.
I think I will do another Sacred Flame, considering now you have disadvantage on your deck save. And I will do it on either yourself or Drunril. I think though I will do it on you.
okay.
He'll stay where he is, he won't move. But yes please, can you please make a dexterity saving throw with disadvantage?
This one. Okay, 11 or 11.
So, with 11, unfortunately, it is not enough. And the beam of radiant light shines upon you, and you take 5 points of radiant damage.
Slightly more besieging has been done.
Remember, kill them all! Kill the dwarf! Intact and in one piece!
Minimus.
I think you're not going to die.
Drunril.
Drunril is accidentally the character you were playing.
Yeah. Yeah. So Drunril, seeing himself enveloped by a net, starts cursing wildly. And he starts striking about and trying to position his axe as to cut through the net.
Yep.
So is that a strength check with disadvantage?
Let me just double check, but I believe so. No. The target, a creature can use this action to make a DC strength check to free itself or another creature in the net, ending the effect on a success.
And what sort of check?
Alternatively, if you deal 5 points of slashing damage against the net, you also destroy it.
Okay, but I can't. If I attack,
You can attack, but you're with disadvantage.
and I can try to free myself with a strength check. 6.
With the 6, you struggle against the net, thrashing and cursing in Dwarfish, naming these creatures all sorts of things. As you do so, you realize that you've gotten yourself in an even bigger mess than you were before. You are unable to break free.
Did you do? Oh, okay.
I am unable to break free.
What else do you do?
I try to roll away.
Unfortunately, your speed is 0, you're restrained.
I start cursing at the mirror, fish people in front of me.
You curse even more intensely as the
But I look
creature,
straight into their eyes.
for a second, stops staring at you, not sure whether you're casting some sort of curse on it. Who's next?
So after it is Jimmy.
I try to perform a strength strength check against the...
Go with it.
Oh! 22.
I think I did it wrongly.
What?
When I hit you with the net. Now I'm not going to retcon it, but for the future I need to hit you with my attack profile when I fire the gun, and then
Yeah, that's what
this
I thought.
strength check
Actually,
is.
got hit, and then you need to check for strength.
So what did you get?
22.
With a 22 you break free from the net, casting it off. What do you do?
When I was restrained, do I end up prone or do I still...
No, you're not restrained. Sorry, you're not on the ground.
Okay. So
that is your action. Though technically you can still move, bonus action and free action.
I think I'm going to disengage. I'm going to move. Actually, yeah, disengage is an action, right? So that would be an action search. And I'm going to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I use an action to break free, use action search to disengage, and just movement for this.
Cool, okay. You dart past the other fishman adjacent to you, backing away from it, but still wary that the other fishman is shouting out orders from behind this rock. and with clear intent, you charge towards you with sword in hand. After Jermaine, Vitus, what do you do?
Seeing as I already have a Merit Dwarf in front of me, I slice it up.
Go ahead.
Of which I get 15.
15 hits.
15 hits. I get 7 damage of slashing.
You slash the creature with your long sword, and you rake open its chest. It curses out, crying or screaming at its inflicted wound. However, it holds its composure, ready to strike you back. What else do
I
you do?
kind of strafe beside it while I have the advantage to place myself in between it and the net shooting.
Go for
Merit
it.
Dwarf.
You maneuver around it, obviously keeping the net gun in your sight. Who goes next?
So it is Craven or Frank. Craven or Frank. Craven and Shank.
What do you do, Craven?
I cast Chill Touch on the direction.
You need to roll against my AC, right?
It's a touch.
Touch.
No,
Range.
it's not a touch, it's not range.
But
24.
24 hits.
if it's ranged, not too pressure about it, I have disadvantage as far as I know. Right. If it's a ranged attack and he's in melee range, I will not have disadvantage as far as I know.
You have burst the bubble.
With ranged weapons, that's the case. With spells, I'm not sure.
There's a
There's a feat which...
Okay. If it's not touched, then it's like that.
Sorry, I'm like...
No, right.
I'm straight the left, so
You
it's
have officially burst the bubble.
officially.
11.
11. Let me check. And what are you casting?
Chill Touch.
So, but it's chill touch. It should be touch, right?
You create a ghostly skeleton hand and...
The hand.
Okay, I see.
Touches.
Okay. So as the fishman comes up towards you, closing the distance between you very close, very quickly, you manifest using your cantrip a ghostly hand, like a skeletal hand with frost dripping from it, and it lurches towards the creature, but it darts, evading it. What do you do?
Because it's a ranged spell attack, any ranged attack. It's just...
Fair enough.
Nothing. Actually, I'll move. No, difficult.
That's right. He didn't, no.
I'm jumping then.
That's fine.
You're still adjacent to it, right? Okay. Frank will...
Plus 5.
You know, that goes up.
They're not plasma skeletons, okay.
um,
Ranged attacks in close combat. When you make a ranged attack with a weapon, a spell, or some other means, you have disadvantage if you are within 5 feet. Sorry. Are you in pretty good?
Ja. Det här går inte där, man gör. Det var stale samma sak då.
Kemm ħajrhom bla dari da?
Bħala da, okej, smajt Frank.
Frank, sorry.
so Frank staying where he is, not willing to risk any attacks of opportunity, clasps the ruby red amulet around his neck and starts chanting something, and his high-pitched voice, which starts out like really high-pitched, suddenly takes a deeper tone, like first. And suddenly these blackish like tendrils, the arms of Hadar, erupt from him, and they punch both of them, both of which take 4 points of necrotic damage.
Check if it does friendly damage as well, I'm not sure.
No, friendly damage, no.
Oh shit, you're right.
Oh, no.
So if that's the case, 1, 2. but I don't want to move away from him, so I'll actually stay where I am, so he doesn't affect yourself. But you will also need to take a strength saving throw.
It will damage the net as well, right? I think. Or
That's true as well.
Damage the net.
Though it rolls really poorly on the necrotic damage, so it will still damage it, but it's not going to be enough to break it.
What is that?
Strength saving throw.
So that's 20.
So you take 2 points of necrotic damage.
and then just have some.
And my net?
The net also takes 2 points of slashing damage.
Just 2.
That's slashing actually. Then.
The slashing.
Necrotic, you're right. No, the net is actually unharmed. I'm sorry to say. You're right, it's a good catch. Okay, so who's next?
Sorry, fishes.
Alright. So this fishman comes charging behind you, Jermaine. 1, 2, 3, 4. The creature is going to try and attack you, Jermaine, as it comes charging from behind you. Shouting out in some sort of foreign language, assuming that it's trying to convince you to turn around and face it. It tries to reach out with its sickle, but you are actually sprinting full on as best as you can towards the other creature, and it misses. The Overlord will... oh God.
Okay, are they speaking some sort of heavily accented dwarvish?
Scaradrish.
Next time, on your turn, we will find out, won't we? So it will attempt to cast Bane on yourself. And as you charge it, I need you to make a charisma saving throw.
I was born in the darkness.
Charisma saving throw?
Yes, please.
Charisma saving throw. Oh. I am not charisma enough. No. Charisma 7.
7. So that means the Bane was successful, and you must roll a d4 and subtract that number from any attack roll or saving throw.
10.
It's still not enough, unfortunately. So every time you make an attack roll or saving throw, you need to subtract d4.
D4, okay.
Yes, and it will last a minute.
Decided now or when the attack is made?
A minute.
No, whenever you make your own attacks or saving throws.
Changes every roll.
Okay.
Exactly, it's per every time. So that's like 12 combat rounds from now.
Jesus Christ.
The fishman will move away from you. And the creature, will move away from you as it casts the spell, and it will once more shout out, "Keep it away from me! Stop it!" And this fishman here will turn around to you and it will try to retaliate against you by this. AC.
19.
Oh, you have it's fighter AC, to be honest, but it's still really good at level 2. The creature tries to undercut you, but you easily evade it with your longsword as you continue parrying against it. This one will turn its sight and will try to take a swing at you. AC. Might not be enough.
Dueling.
And it actually swipes towards you, and you just hit the spear. Misses you for an inch. Just one roll away, or one tick away from hitting you. Seeing you still restrained, it will try to impale you with the spear.
But it might hit the net, no?
It will definitely hit the net. Actually, depending on what type of damage it is a spear, so it is piercing and slashing. No, it's piercing. It doesn't slash the net away, it does it now. And it crits you. Because it's rolling with advantage.
Oh god.
You take 10 points of piercing damage.
Just enough to go unconscious.
Oh. Fishnet guy over here will try to aim its gun towards you, Vitus.
Yeah, I'm in cover, alright?
You are, that's right.
And just not really,
No, not exactly. In trying not to hit its ally, it has a negative modifier or an increased AC in your case. You are in cover basically. You are, it's heavy cover, you have +5 onto your AC. Which actually makes it impossible for me to hit you. And I
wanted to shoot it in my general direction.
No, I still can retcon it since I haven't rolled any dice. In fact, I think I will do the same but against you now. AC? 15. You hear a gun cocking from behind you, and suddenly a net springing towards you. And his gun's flying, you duck, it flies overhead. The other fishnet guy. It will try to dart all the way over here and aim its gun towards Frank.
They look like they have ammo or...
Doesn't hit either. It looks like they have like ample squirt of net equipped on them. They came well prepared, right? To bring you in. It's like because you realize that the guns are the mechanism with which they work is quite intricate. Like they just put in a packed net and then it flings itself open. Right. That is the fisherman's turn. Who's next?
So Jermaine.
So Jermaine, what does Jermaine do? Minus 1d4 objective.
On your attack and saving throws.
Alright.
I mean, on the Meruta, so.
Yeah. 1.
That's like 10 whole turns.
4, 5, 6. Okay.
I will move 6 for the month.
Okay, so I'm going to start moving without disengaging.
Okay. So let me do an attack of opportunity first off.
I raised too much against you, okay?
It's cocked. It doesn't hit you though.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Okay.
And I'm going to dash to get in close combat.
Sure.
1, 2, 3.
Okay.
4, 5.
All right. From the periphery of your view, Vitus, you see Jermaine breaking off actually from the struggle over here, and you see him chasing what seems to be this floating, or not floating figure, but decaped fellow.
He's floating or not?
He's not floating. The meaning is floating. He isn't. Who's next?
He is floating. So fine.
I am sincerely pissed at this Murloc in front of me, and I swipe it once more, hoping to gain an opening towards its neck. I get a 21.
Very nice.
You need to snipe the sniper.
5 points of slashing damage.
You slash once more towards the creature, and it is heavily wounded. You see spatters of blood coming off it, but it's not that deep.
Wolfish blood stands strong.
Okay.
What else do you do?
The murder.
No, I just stay there, I hold my gun.
Continue fighting. Fair enough. Who's next?
Raven and Frank. It's like the name of an old Nickelodeon's cartoon show.
Raven and Frank. Raven and Frank. Raven and Frank.
You don't need to disengage now.
Yo, I take the damage.
Even with major armor, your AC is 15.
I think it's worth taking.
We forgot that one of them was mind slivered, by the way. But anyways. No, like it's disadvantage on, not disadvantage, but I think he had negative modifiers.
Before on his saving throw.
Though he didn't roll any saving throw, so fair enough. Okay.
Which one is that?
So this guy here is.
Until the start of his turn.
Oh, okay. Then never mind. If you want, I can mind sliver him with Frank.
Okay.
Target him that way. So, both of you kind of calling over and somehow communicating during this entire chaos. Frank mind slivers this guy right here, who is already wounded technically, and the guy fails his. The other one I think was wounded. Fails his wisdom saving throw, and he will take 4 points of psychic damage. So he seems like battered, groggily, kind of moving from one side to another. What do you do?
I'm gonna position enemies.
You disengage?
No.
Okay. Alright. So I will do an attack of opportunity against you, which hits you, and you take 2 points of piercing damage.
And I'll cast Chill Touch on the guy that...
Go for it.
11. Nothing.
11 is not enough, unfortunately. Because you break off one of the spears from the guy over there, manages to lazily hit you. As you move away, you also try to recover and manifest the same spell, but it doesn't hit the creature. So, after their turn.
Fishes.
Fishman. This creature will come up from behind you, Craven. You hear, first of all, its horrifying snarl or language awfully close to your ear, and it comes in to bite you.
Fish's bite.
Its call or its shout kind of gives it away, because as it jumps up to bite you, you duck and it kind of looms in front of you instead. Go over there. It rolled a natural one. I will give you an attack of opportunity against it, in fact. As it kind of exposes its back.
Yeah, as an attack of opportunity, it's an attack.
Doesn't it? Okay.
Whenever you
This creature right here will take a swipe at you, Vitus. It doesn't hit you, however. This creature will actually break free, and it will 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Anyway, it's dashing. It doesn't attack.
Illusion is dispelled or?
That's a good question.
Don't show 1 minute.
And don't need concentration or?
Yeah. It's probably is concentration. The question is whether you cast concentration since
At
then.
this point,
I rolled the insight against your deception earlier. And
so this spells, I think.
it's not that it's not that it was dispelled. It's just that they've seen through the illusion and they are ignoring it. But it's up to you whether you want to remove it or not. So you want to say something?
Will my cousins try to resuscitate me?
It's official now. That's their
I'm pretty
cousins.
sure they're going to take me to their cavern and they'll find a statue of their progenitor, Grungir Golden Hand.
So you asked me whether they're going to continue attacking you.
No, not continue attacking, try to revive me. Because I'm in danger of dying now. And they want to take me alive.
But we'll just see, won't we? It's their turn technically. In fact, this guy over here, who seems to be quite battered, he will take out a net, wrap it around you. Actually, you're already netted, my bad. So it will use its action to disengage from Frank, and it's actually going to try and drag you away.
He's very heavy, yeah?
He's moving in difficult terrain because of that, so it will be 1, 2, 3.
It's very difficult terrain though, with such a heavy dwarf and all.
He's not like he's carrying you, he's just dragging you behind him. Through the
That's a
snow.
lot of
This one over here will have an attack against natural one, and Frank will attempt to retaliate. I'll give him an attack opportunity there, and he hits it, dealing
As far as I know, it's
2 points of damage as he punches the creature. Get off me! Who's next? Oh, the fisherman over there, and that guy over there. I'll be with you in a sec.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Fishman, Caradron,
Caradron fish.
Caradron Fishlord.
Overfish.
Overcooked. Overcooked.
So I'll actually move to the side here. So just shift the camera around. See a bit of the action over here. And the fishman over here will... It will do Shield of Fate on itself.
Shield of Fate.
Which I forget what it does, but I assume it's some sort of buff to me.
Concentration.
I believe so. Can you also look up Bane whether it is also concentration? Because if that's the case, it will...
One thing at a
Oh,
time.
you're right.
Bane, D&D.
You know what? I'm not going to do Shield of Fate. I'm going to do Sacred Flame against you. So I need you to make a Wisdom saving throw.
Concentration.
At least do
Gives you a +2 AC.
It's concentration, right? So I will not cast it.
Obeying.
What do you want to know about Bane, Gabriel?
Whether it's concentration.
There is nothing written that it is concentration.
Okay, good.
That is concentration.
It is as well. In any case, I'm not going to cast Shield of Fate.
Right.
I'm going to cast Sacred Flame against you. And what do you want to say?
it's a ranged attack, right? So it's with disadvantage.
It's not. It's just a dexterity saving throw from your
Okay,
hand,
okay.
which you are rolling with disadvantage.
Wait,
Sorry, with
Bane,
-4.
You can target up to 3 creatures.
I know, but I don't think they were within range.
It's 30 feet then.
So if it's 30 feet, I don't think I was in range, huh?
No, you were there.
You will.
And I was here.
Okay, so I thought it was.
The rest were out of
Yeah,
range, so I
yeah.
wouldn't have made it. And I did move. I didn't want to move closer. But anyways,
Right. So
D20 minus D4.
So roll a D20 and a D4.
what origin? What's the?
Ooh, very nice. You don't even need to roll a D4. The creature tries to wave its hand in front of you or something. You assume it's going to cast a spell, but you actually lob off its arm and you slice it off, leaving it armless.
Ah, good lord. Okay, my turn.
Damage.
I'll let you deal damage as well to follow up with that.
2d8.
What? This is just a save, isn't it?
I will.
It's a crit.
No, it will be just 1d8. I know it's a crit, but it's technically not his turn.
Is it?
This is like a cinematic sort of moment where I'll reward him for the d20.
Okay.
For the 20 rather. That's okay. It's one.
It's fine. It's fine.
It's fine.
Do I get modifiers for it or?
Sure.
It's 3 mana. Plus two. Then
And obviously, as you lob off its arm, it also fails in manifesting the spell. However, it moved in that direction specifically to open up this attack angle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And it's going to try and shoot its net gun towards you.
do I get cover for the stroke? It's right behind.
It is technically touching it, so not really.
You still need to roll to hit first.
That's right. It doesn't hit you though. The net flies wildly. In fact, it's carried off by the wind. Okay.
It's another bird.
Sorry, boss. Oh shit, sorry, boss.
It didn't roll well enough, but it didn't roll that horribly to hit its leader. So, who's next?
Saving throw.
It's a failure.
You can't get ballista. That was the first.
Fail.
He's been carried off in the snow. Who's next?
I don't know.
Jermaine.
Okay, so I attack and I also perform a battle maneuver. So I'm going to trip and I'm going to hit the creature with an open attack. I'm going to use a superiority die, which I add to my damage. And if it's larger or smaller, it needs to make a strength save. Otherwise, it falls prone.
Okay.
So that's 9 plus 2. But plus 5. So I think 1 plus 5. So 14.
14 hits.
Okay. So
Plus the superiority. You'll worry about
yeah, it's a superiority. It's a superiority.
it.
Trip.
I think it's a dex save, right, from my end.
It's a strength save for me.
Which DC is?
DC is 15.
It fails it.
Okay, so it falls prone. And I add spirit die is d6 plus 1d8 damage. Oh, so that's 6 plus 5, that's 11 plus 2 is 13 damage.
Very nice.
Very good.
15 you said?
13.
13.
Fajdi, tu żamma ta' tolba.
Oh, okay.
You don't need to expend it
okay.
before.
Okay, so
I don't know when you hit.
with sword outstretched and oblivious to this other creature approaching you from the side, you actually bump or put your momentum into the leader over here, toppling it over, and as it falls over in a gurgled scream, you slash it into the ground, breaking both the snow and its flesh. Quite actually, it's a deep cut.
Eat shit, old man.
Who's next?
Vitus.
So, I attempt to stab the one that's still running about somehow. I get a 13.
13
No,
hits.
Actually, I get more. I think adding plus 3. I add your proficiency, so it's 15 actually.
That's right.
And hopefully, I cut it down with 7 points of slashing damage.
7 points of damage. It is crippled. It comes towards you for another attack. But you dismember its arm and then its leg, and it falls to the ground, bleeding to death. So I think it was this one.
The
No, this one, the one in front. And there's another one next door. I kind of maneuver myself so that I'm closer to my allies and while still fending off this one's attacks.
Sure. From behind you, you can hear like the fisherman's gurgled screams becoming less intense. Hopefully, due to actually yourselves doing a number against them as you cut down their numbers. But you also realize at the same time that Craven behind you is struggling against this other fish creature. Frank is also doing the same, dwarfed by the imposing fishman's length. And at the same time, you hear something being dragged in the snow a couple of feet from behind. Who's next?
Craven and Frank.
So for me, once more, I try to search within the planes of the dead again and try to manifest enough power for another chill touch against the...
Okay, you're rolling with disadvantage. It's classical wizards, Duncan. That you do nothing until level 3, until you get the fireball. Actually, it's level 5, no, my bad. I believe it's not level 3, but anyways.
Level 3 special.
Just move here.
I think to all of you who have played wizard, you can attest that the class really comes to life. You know,
It's grease,
at a higher
Grease is
level.
what you need.
Yes, that's true as well.
That's the...
All right, Frank will mind sliver. There's one of the creatures already with, I think that one. It's already on its last dredges of health, so it will try to. Frank will try to mind sliver it. Hits it, and actually manages to kill it. As it's dragging you,
And you
it falls to the ground.
As it falls on me. Blood oozing out. Does it revive me?
It's damage, and you take another death saving throw. No, not you. Who's next?
Craven and Frank, fishes.
Fishman. Okay, so Fishman in front of you will attempt to bite you again.
Who will attempt to bite you?
Fishman.
It hits you.
Sniper fishman. You are hit. You are now becoming a fish wizard.
Its jaw finds purchase on your arm, and the fishman deals 2 points of piercing damage as its fishy teeth sink into your flesh. Against Frank, the creature there will try to impale the halfling with its spear. Ooh, it almost crits it. And Frank takes 4 points of damage. I need to tell Andreas about this later.
Oh, Andreas, your character just played. Sorry.
This is something I am avidly trying to avoid. Right.
There's one on me.
Yes, the fisherman against you. So he will take out a net from his side, and he will try to wrangle you in it. I need you. No, he actually has to attack you. Now he rolled natural 20.
Oh, shit.
However, the net is a ranged weapon attack. And seeing as he is in proximity with you, I need to roll that with disadvantage. But he still rolled 19. You are restrained.
Wait, do I
going
get a
forward.
strength saving throw?
You don't know. I just rolled against you. Now you get the strength saving throw when you try to break free from it.
Wait, first you hit it.
That's right.
But then I check.
So you're now restrained. This creature right here. He will actually have a shot at you again.
Over here, Fleshwalker.
The net hits you. And you're also restrained. Nets flying everywhere here. This creature over here will get up and clutching its wound where you just hurt it, bleeding away. It yells out, and it flees away from the scene, 30 feet in this direction. Let's try it, but you're rolling with disadvantage.
Wrap him up.
Though technically I haven't used my action, so I will use it to disengage.
Okay.
And I moved 30 feet in this direction.
You moved 15 because you are wrong, but I'm not sure.
You are right, you are right. So he moves 15 feet away.
I got it, I couldn't disengage.
Yeah,
I disengage, that's right. That's my turn.
So, Jermaine?
No.
Yes.
Sorry.
That's it.
Yes.
It's good.
So I see double digits, I'm happy.
Yeah.
So am I.
Gabriel, interesting. From Tasha's, there's like extra optional features. Are those in place or depend?
Oh, I can use them. Yeah.
Alright, okay.
Are you talking about like certain
Like fighter, for
class traits?
example, when you get an ability score, we can like replace fighting styles or
Yeah, for sure.
or replacement.
Yes,
overs.
yes.
That's it.
As long as it's official stuff
No,
and it's not like unnecessary arcana,
just
should be fine. Okay.
Because Tasha's they included some optional rules for classes.
Yeah, definitely keep that in mind when you level up, especially before you hit level 3. Because you can kind of choose different
But I
disciplines.
can check what you have for the first day.
So, where were we?
So now it is Jermaine.
Okay, so strength check to see if I...
Yeah.
And actually, I think he needs to make a constitution save to check if Bane is still on.
That is a concentration check. Are there any modifiers to concentration check?
If the damage is more than 10, if no, it's just a DC 10 check.
But with your constitution...
It's a constitution.
He maintains concentration.
Wait, he took 2 instances of damage though.
Thanks.
From whom?
One when he did that cinematic thing, and one where he hit him directly with the superiority.
When I did the
It's
save
two
against...
You're
instances.
right. In fact, he fails it. So you are no longer banned.
Alright, so strength save against the net. 20, not natural.
20, yeah, breaks the net. That's your action, but you're free to move.
I've already used this, so
Yeah, you got it off.
You hear on one side the creature muttering to itself as it flees away, but on the other hand, you hear your allies back behind you struggling for life as they fend off the remaining creatures. And also another one coming from behind you.
I think back to my allies, but I also think about this grotesque creature, and I think that maybe its life should not be spared. 1, 2, 3,
Charge it.
4.
I'm willing to let it go for what it's done to you and your allies. You reach up to it, of course, but still struggling against the snow and from the remnants of the net falling off you, you don't have enough strength to hit it now. So, after Jermaine,
Vitus.
what do you do?
Strike the one in front of me in these never-ending waves of Murloc.
You got 3.
Oh yeah, I'm restrained actually, you're right. Strength.
Mm-hmm.
I got 18.
You will also manage to shrug off the net.
I don't have an action, right? Or that was my action.
That is your action, unfortunately.
Does he have another net on him? Can I do a quick perception?
You can make your free action, yeah, and try to use that.
20 on this one.
20. He does not have any other nets. The only other nets you see is from this guy over here. Who's invisibility of you.
Okay, well, that's my turn.
Alright, who's next?
Frank and Craven.
Yeah, the same thing.
Chill touch, right?
18 on top.
I'm about to ask, but probably not. Don't you have any other spells, cantrips you can use here?
No, I used all my spell slots.
And what about cantrips?
Huh?
Well, Fireball is still with disadvantage,
No,
but
I
Fireball.
have
Bolt.
What?
and it damaged the...
Shocking grass?
So Frank will try and make a medicine check on you.
Yep, he's dead.
He fails.
Yep, he's dead.
Okay, who's next?
Fishes.
Fishy Fishman. Okay.
If I won't, almost like, I'm assuming like you're some illusionist or necromancer or something like that, so...
This fishman over here will turn around and try to hit Frank. Frank gets hit, and Frank takes 8 points of damage.
And what?
I think Frank is dead.
I think so as well.
Dead.
Well, unfortunately.
Dead. Is a very loaded term.
That said, so let me check his health pool, and I need to roll his hit dice from the short rest. He did.
4 plus 8. 12. Hit die 6. He got 6. I have. It has an Ali at 12 points of health.
That's right.
He's not.
He is unconscious. This guy against him. AC? 15. Comes at you with a spear. You dodge it. Against you, Vitus. Hits you. Yes, there.
More AC, more AC.
First time in this battle, you take 5 points of piercing damage.
Oh.
This guy will move up against you as well.
Oh, motherfucker.
Aims the gun.
Master! I will hold him for you!
Fires net gun.
One, your other master.
Hits you.
Oh my god.
Just some point. Okay, 18.
18.
Just 1 point. This guy over here will.
Disengage.
He won't disengage. He's going to dash. He's going to take the attack of opportunity since it's with disadvantage, and he's going to dash the hell out of here. Go for it.
This is the orc who blew up the walls of Helm's Deep. With 3 arrows in his neck. Alright, either 20, not natural, or 10, not natural. 10, I guess.
You're about to hit him, but he net restrains you, and just for an inch you miss him. Literally one roll, dice roll away.
You see, it just matter, my friend.
They do. The creature disappears into the snow, into the blizzard. You lose sight of him. Who's next? Good luck. Yes.
Hey!
Who's next?
Jimmy. Strength save. Natural 20.
Very nice. You break the net free, almost yelling out in the ensuing blizzard. I'll give you advantage for breaking free of God knows how many nets have been cast onto you. This
Is there shrapnel off the net?
It doesn't, but enraged with bits of nets dripping off you, you turn your wrath against it, knowing that you've missed your opportunity against their leader.
Okay, so I turn to the whatever that is, fish person, and I say, actually I don't say anything, I just charge it with my sword in my hand.
You dead fish.
1, 2, 3, 4, I guess that's it, right? Or,
You can move more if you want, it's up to you.
you don't think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Alright, go with it.
Oh, I can't attack?
Actually,
Actually, I broke the net.
to be honest, I give you inspiration, Okay. Maybe in hindsight I might have given you an extra like bonus round or something, but no. So that's it. Who's next?
So, Vitus.
Why this is on his way? Why this is thirsty in the middle of battle?
Vitus thirsts for blood.
Vitus, now free from his restraints and facing his first injury in this battle after the tingling of his armor from the heat, he strikes back, aiming to decapitate the foe with a single critical strike. He crits!
Roll damage.
Vitus is inspired by his blood
Bloodlust.
and deals a total of Vitus is counting 16 points of damage.
Very nice. Aragorn style, the Fellowship of the Ring, the creature comes towards you and exhausted and with a yell, you swipe off its head, killing it instantly. What do you do?
Vitus, seeing that his allies are still troubled, especially now that he notices that they are downed, he surges to action and rushes to slay the beast that is next to his ally and strikes once again. Slightly hoping he gets another crit.
Action surge.
Yes. Okay. It's not a crit, but it's a 15.
It hits.
It hits. It deals damage. Ah! Okay. After his crit, he's a bit weak. 4 points of slashing damage.
It's good enough. You trudge in the snow from behind the creature. You slash at it. It hears you coming, and the last second it manages to deflect the otherwise fatal blow. Instead, you glance it. Who's next?
Graven and Frank.
Frank will roll a saving throw. He succeeds.
I'm gonna take attack of opportunity.
Yeah, if you move next to him, you don't.
لا أنا
Ah, okay.
actually
It bit you for 3 points of piercing damage.
and while running I cast back the chill touch.
What's your AC? 15?
15.
Then no, never mind. It didn't hit you. This is your mage armor. 11 doesn't hit it.
I cast 3 11.
For the third time, you manifest the chill touch, but it doesn't hit it. This time you see Vitus kind of interceding as well between your line of sight and the creature as he tries to overwhelm it, giving you enough time to fly away. Alright, after Craven.
Frank.
Frank, what is the saving throw?
So, fishes.
Okay. So Fishman will try and have a pot shot at you. He'll actually try and bite you. Vitus. AC.
19.
It bites into your gauntlet, doing nothing.
He trudges away.
The creature over here will also try and bite you. It tries to bite at your leg, falling at your feet. It doesn't pierce through. And this guy over here will swing its spear and try and hit Vitus from behind.
I don't like hitting things from the
It doesn't hit you either.
or getting
Who's
hit
next?
from behind rather.
Drunville.
You are at what, to 1?
To 1.
Yes.
3-1.
You are stabilized.
Stabilized.
Very nice. After Drunville.
Jermaine, I turn to this fish thingy. I say, you've ruined my kill. You'll pay for it. You'll pay for it in blood. 23.
23 hits it.
Of course.
Bring the swords to bear above its head.
5 damage.
5 damage. You bring it down, slashing off its fishy ear. But not enough to kill it, unfortunately. Alright, who's next?
So, from the top.
Vitus once again. Seeing that a more urgent threat is behind him now, Vitus turns to face the one with the axe and aims to strike his head once more with a crit.
Go for it.
Oh, he misses with an 8, I believe.
8. Not only do you miss,
Oh no.
but I need you to make it DC whatever strength saving throw for me, please.
What?
If I'm not mistaken, this is the first time you've missed a hit in this combat.
Yeah. Strength?
Yes, please.
Strength saving throw. Natural 20.
The sword is deflected by the shield, and for a second there it almost got stuck.
Oh god!
Who's next?
So after by this, it is Frank and Craig.
So Frank, that saving throw.
That's why there's sticky sheet.
Success. 2 successes.
Nice.
I've done the custom.
Yep.
Actually,
4 times the charm, hopefully.
Against the that guy. Actually, against the other one.
10, that's not enough, man. These creatures seem unfazed by the cold. Maybe it's their natural environment. They've grown accustomed to it. You realize that the cold is not doing that much against these fishmen. What else do you do as you see the dwarf and the halfling strewn in front of you?
Nothing. That's my thing.
You dart to the side again. From the distance, you can see Germain struggle and yell, presumably fighting one of these creatures, though you don't make out the exact details given the distance. So, who's next?
Fishes.
Fishman will attempt to bite you. Doesn't, though. Once more, your shield manages to dash it in the face. The other 2 fishmen bite against Vidas, no, and the spear against you. Neither. They don't hit. Who's next?
Vidas is a mighty warrior.
Drunville. So I roll to see whether I went up.
No, you don't. You are at this point unconscious once more for 3 more hours.
The brain damage, Mario.
Craven, you're up. No, after Drunville.
No, not Craven. Jermaine.
I rolled to hit. It's 11.
And 11 does not pierce. No. It manages to evade your attack.
I stay the same spot.
Okay, who's next?
From the top, Vidas.
Vidas angry once again. Tries to slice, trying not to aim for the shield, noticing that it's sticky. Vidas gets a 12.
At 12 does not hit it, and then once more hits the shield. And then you need to make another strength saving throw.
Vidas gets a 10.
With a 10 you realize that you've lost grip of your sword, that it's now stuck to its shield. Not because it's partially wedged through, but also because the shield is so slimy and dirty that it's actually sticking to it. You are now swordless. What else do you do?
I'm trying to get my sword back.
Can I take out my...
Yes, you have your free action still available.
I take out my next weapon of choice, which is my hand axe.
Okay. And
I actually have 2 of those, so if they get stuck, I have 1 more.
anything else you want to do?
The shield did- No, that's it. I cannot move because I will get an attack of opportunity.
Okay.
Craven and Frank.
Same thing.
And you go for it? Yep. No, again. Again, I would suggest you change tack and choose a different spell at this point. This is the 5th time in a row. Or maybe use your quarter stuff to hit it instead. Coming close.
Coming with her.
Frank. I'm sorry, Andreas.
Yet in my own.
It's not, no. He's at 2-2.
I don't know.
You would suggest that, and I'm not going to suggest anything, you're playing the game.
Don't get sick.
Who's next?
Fishes. Fishes?
Plus
Yes.
0, man, as in...
En många personer klass, jag hade ställt samtidigt klass 5.
Vem var sådär med sig? Samma där också, natural 20.
Bite against you. Doesn't hit you. Bite against you. Remind me your AC?
19.
No. No, just barely. It tries to go for your neck, but doesn't hit
shield and
you.
defense.
So, quite a good combo. However, the one with the spear actually manages to find purchase.
Wow.
And you take 6 points of piercing damage. Okay, that's the fishman. Is unconscious after adrenaline. Jermaine.
Attack. 24.
Yes, you do.
5 damage.
This guy was already harmed, right?
Yeah, he had 5 damage.
Yeah. Alright. He's still hanging there though.
No, actually.
Okay. After Jermaine.
On the top, Vitus.
Vitus now with, with his disarmed, well now armed again hand axe. He instead, assuming that his sword is stuck, turns to swipe and hit the one with the gun, trying to bite his behind, basically. And he gets a natural 20 once again.
Against who?
Huh?
Against who?
This one.
Alright, bro.
Fuck, yeah, target hit.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. But anyways.
First damage.
Maybe you'll kill him with an instant hit.
Yeah, this is 2d6
You roll well enough.
plus
No,
Uh.
like it.
So this is 7 points of damage. But I'm not sure if he was wounded.
I think it was. With 7 points, actually, you finish him off.
Alright. Die, beast.
That's right, yes, he's dead. This one.
And I kind of sidestep towards my allies, kind of sheltering them while trying to fight off.
Okay. Who's next?
Craven and Frank.
Craven first, please. Craven, do something. Craven, now your role matters.
No, you're wrong.
Now it actually
Medicine
does.
check, I suppose. Yeah.
Hey, 24.
It's not a natural 20 though. Okay.
19.
It's good enough. He is stabilized though. He doesn't actually need to roll his death saving throw.
Craven, you mattered.
You probably saved his life in all honesty.
Avoided.
So he is unconscious also for 3 more hours. So he will roughly wake up in the same time along with you. Who's next?
Fishes.
So the remaining fisherman over there will now take a strike against you, Craven, since you decided to come close finally. And your AC is 15. It doesn't hit you. Your mage armor wards it off. This fisherman over here will try to net you.
Net.
Net you.
Disadvantage.
Disadvantage, yeah. It doesn't hit you though. You bat its weapon as it tries to aim it towards you. Who's next?
Drandril followed by Jermaine.
No, turn around, please. 12.
12 doesn't hit it. The creature continues to struggle.
Vitus.
Vitus turns back to the sticky shield-wielding fisherman and fights it off with his hand axe. He misses.
Alright.
He got an 8.
I need you to make a strength saving throw. The axe also gets stuck to his shield.
Let's see this way to have it to hold. I take off my other hand. Bitch coming.
Tries the charm. Okay, who's next?
So, after Vitus, Craven and Frank.
I'm not
Great.
doing anything.
With disadvantage. Actually, I'll use my portrait.
Alright.
I'm running out of weapons.
What's that?
Natural one.
Oh my god.
You take out your water staff. You try to creep behind the creature from the back. As you bring it down to whack it, it actually shatters.
Oh no.
You hit Frank.
The staff is damaged. So going forward, you have -1 to hit with it and -1 damage with it.
Even better.
I know,
Just
I'm just the doctor at this point.
but bear in mind, these are repairable items for the
Your
future.
hands
You can take more sticks.
can only save lives, not take them.
Who's next?
Fishes.
You're bad
The-
necromancer.
The remaining fishman will have a go at Craven. It hits you, and you take 2 points of piercing damage. The fisherman over here will try to.
On him or on me?
against him, against Craven. So you take 2 points of piercing. This guy right here is going to leg it. So he is going to dash in this direction. You have an attack of opportunity.
19.
19 hits.
So, yeah, 9 damage total.
It turns around. As it does, you manage to grab it by the shoulder and you just ram the sword into it.
Move, fat beast.
What do you do? Actually, it's not your turn.
Yeah.
Who's after the fishman?
After the fishman,
Okay,
it's
sorry. Sorry.
Now you're there.
Okay, so I dash towards the remaining fishman.
Yes, sir.
Which I'm guessing this is on this way.
Mhm.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Mhm.
That's an illusion, right?
You can move through it as if it's not there.
So I'm dashing 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 12.
All right.
My turn.
Yep.
I snagged my second hand axe.
Yes, sir.
Eee!
Yeah, but still
Very nice.
strength saving, so we'll probably not.
That's true. Yeah.
Oh, that shield now is officially probably.
Embedded in the shield is a long sword and 2 axes flanking it.
I had an armed strike.
You go to reach to your belt. You're out of probably weapons, I suppose.
I have a dagger left.
You take out your dagger. It just needs dagger. All right.
Actually, I don't take out the dagger. I'm going to try grabbing it next turn.
Okay.
probably.
Who's next?
Just punch.
I'll give you balls, man. You haven't given up yet.
15.
50 is finally helpful.
Run around damage.
I don't think this one is damage.
3. Necrotic.
Plus actually effects.
There's an effect.
It's the ship alien.
I can't read it.
The chilling palm winds itself around its neck, drops its shield in fright and terror, and you squeeze its life out of it as it falls down and
My
dies,
weapons.
leaving behind just a scorched black ring around its neck. Combat is over. What do you do?
I pick up my fucking weapon. I try to wedge off the swords and hand axes stuck to its sticky shield, trying not to touch this sludge.
I go to the dwarf to see how he's doing.
So, starting with you, Vidas, you find the shield and you pull off your equipment from it. They're grimy, dirtied with the fisherman's blood. You try your best to wipe them clean and you sheath them back into your belt.
The shield, is it still intact?
The shield is for the most part intact, though it's pretty much better now and its effectiveness will be less. Seeing as it's spent an entire, I don't know how many turns worth of combat taking damage
And sticking weapons on it.
and sticking weapons into it. You, Jermaine, make your way towards the prone dwarf. You see that he's unconscious in the ground once more. He's once more covered in bruises and cuts.
Can I make a medicine check to see what his status is, whether he's
Sure.
or dying or whatever?
Is in the whatever category.
Just do whatever.
Once more.
12. Once more.
You judge that he's probably knocked out cold for another couple of hours at least.
Pun intended.
Apart from that, though, he looks like he's alive and he'll probably make it through. Of course, any sort of accelerated healing on it, like magical healing or potions, would go some way to bring him back before that allocated time.
Will you cover him? Cover him with something when he lays out in the cold.
The beast cannot be covered by mere cloth. That beast cannot be covered by mere cloth. Okay, so if I see his cape, I try to cover him up with the cape.
With your passive perception, I'll say that it's enough. Yeah, you do find the cave in the snow. You wrap it once more around the prone dwarf
Everything about
as best as you can, and
Sweet, well, sweet. Sleep well, sweet spirits.
Sweet well, steel spirits.
As you stand up, you once more find yourselves in a situation where now not just one of your comrades is down, but two of them. What do you do?
Are they still alive?
I go check
The dwarf
the
still alive. And I checked on the halfling yet.
Right. So what are you looking for specifically?
Just to investigate what they are, see what they have, and
I make
specifically I want to take a net.
Okay,
I
so
make a double check just to see there's no one else around us at this point.
I'll do this one thing at a time. So let's start with you doing an investigation check on them. They are an enigma to you. They are some sort of bizarre blend between fish and human.
And dwarf.
You think,
Tiny bit of them.
for some reason, the thought of them resembling a dwarf pops into your mind for a second, but there's no way they resemble dwarfs. These are like, they're stunted creatures, don't get me wrong, but you know, if they were to draw up in full height, they would probably reach up to a human. You've never seen anything like them before. In terms of what items they might have on them, I'll need you to roll the 20 for me with disadvantage.
15. As in any skill.
No, it's just a loot roll basically. 15. On this particular fellow, you find what seems to be a really roughly assembled climber's kit. Make a perception check.
8.
You look around as best as you can. The storm is still going at it. It hasn't stopped at any time. The thunder has been silent for some time. Now it's just wind and snow. And the cold obviously has not diminished. With Nate, you give one quick glance around you, but there seems to be no more of them. At least creeping up on you.
Seeing as there's no one, Vitus needs to take a piss. So he heads towards the nearest rock.
I assume you make your way behind this rock over here.
Cheats his weapons while he goes to take the piss.
And you let loose.
I've seen them.
What do you guys do?
Actually, I say to the others, how are we going to carry this massive dwarf in the snow?
I don't know, but we have to move.
We have to.
They know we are here now.
You think there are more?
Of course there are more. One escaped,
Unfortunately, yes. He's very wounded, but yes, he did escape. Perhaps we can wait some time until the dwarf regains consciousness. It is nighttime after all.
It is approaching nighttime, not specifically nighttime at this point in time.
It is approaching nighttime after all.
Very well, then we have to wait.
Do we know how long until the halfling comes back to?
One more minute check here.
Make a medicine check.
9.
With 9, you also suspect that he's also knocked out cold for at least another couple of hours himself as well.
Take another couple of hours.
If we carry them to the snow, we'll be too tired in case we're attacked while we're moving them. I believe we should try and rest up until they're back to at least walking strength. We'll try to cover our tracks up as much as possible so that it doesn't happen again. At least we'll be a bit more careful this time
Very well.
with the fire.
Very well.
So I try to find maybe some sort of covering where the fire is only visible from at least some spots, for example somewhere over here or maybe somewhere behind here. And I try to move maybe some larger rocks to cover the area up, and even some wood maybe. Some debris from...
Feel free to move around, and this will be your fire token. You just place it wherever you want.
So we are in the same place which we were in 2 hours ago.
More or less, because you were about to back up, but you were besieged the moment you were about to leave.
Just with an extra unconscious person.
That's right. And now exhausted of any hit dice. unlike before. So, Vidas, as you kind of finish what you're doing, you wade into the party and you can already see Craven kind of pulling on the unconscious bodies, huddling them into a corner behind the shelter of these rocks and striking once more, igniting a new fire, whereas Jermaine, you can see him pulling bits of debris and fallen wood from the crushed terror and kind of barricading as best as he can. On one hand to give you some more shelter from the storm, and also you presume as a means to have some sort of defense line should these fishmen decide to attack you again.
Perfect, let's light another fire. I'm going to have a look around, maybe in these barrels we might find something that can help us. And I go to search the other barrels, basically, like how I search for this one.
Go for it.
Is this a barrel, for example, is it?
It looks like it's a wooden stump, probably some of Jermaine's afterwork in cutting some of these trees down.
Then I move towards the nearest barrel that I see, which is this one.
Of course.
And I once again roll, I assume
With disadvantage, please.
So I roll an 11.
With an 11, you find a small glass snow globe inside of this barrel in particular, which when you shake also has snow drifting inside of it.
I take it.
Suddenly the earth starts shaking.
Snake level.
You finish barricading this perimeter you've established, and also once more get close to the fire to huddle and make sure also at some points that the unconscious figures are also stabilized and keeping warm. Anything else that you would like to do as on the periphery Vidas, you see him pillaging through some of the remaining barrels?
Ritual to study Castia and aspects.
That's right. I believe it takes 10 minutes. I think that's the general rule for ritual.
I cast a line here.
Okay.
It's like 10 minutes.
Okay. So, what's the range on that?
20-foot cube.
What's the range to cast it?
I moved there and
Cool, okay.
cast it.
4x4.
So you head over towards the area. You can still see bits of blood from the fishman attack now being covered by the snowfall. And their corpses as well. Some of them, a couple of them are still kind of strewn about here.
And I go with a silent alarm.
Yeah. You open the spellbook there and start incanting the spell, taking your time with it. 10 minutes in, you are satisfied that should the fishman attack from this angle, at least now you'll have some sort of alarm in place. What else would you guys like to do?
I'm just going to look for more barrels unless there's something more urgent to put them to.
Feel free to move about, it's up to you.
As I'm doing that, I'll check the chest.
Okay, so
I think this is a stop. So.
I need you both to make a loot roll with disadvantage. So with a 4 you find nothing in this barrel. With an 11 you find what seems to be a doorknob inside of this door. Yeah, it looks there's bits of wood strewn about here. It looks like maybe it was some sort of miniature panel of sorts which shattered during the fall. The only thing which is salvageable from the wreckage here is just a bit of a knob, basically, which is still intact.
I'll just carry the crate to use as fire.
The chest, you mean? Yeah. Okay. Who's next? Or what else would you like to do?
I move to the next barrel.
Yeah, I let her help them search through the barrels.
Is there another barrel?
You've already searched through this one. Yeah.
Then I guess if I see him go there and I don't see any other barrels, I join the others instead.
Okay, you join the fire as you see Jermaine walking off to investigate the crate over there. Loot roll for me, please, with disadvantage.
D20?
Yes, please.
8, you... 3.
You find nothing in the crate, it's empty.
I found nothing in the crate.
And eventually, all of you huddle beside the fire. The next tower churns into the second churns into the third. Slowly, Drundril, you come back to your senses, followed shortly by Frank himself, as the two of you recover from your long, deep sleep.
Once again, with a great sense of deja vu, Drundril wakes up suddenly
Is this a short
with a jerking motion.
It could be, if you wanted to.
He takes a look around, looking for a dragon, and then mere people, but finds none. Instead, he finds himself surrounded by
Wood barricades your allies. Your heart is racing, and you expect at one point for some sort of fisherman to call out,
Catch the dwarf! Get him alive!
you remember.
Oh, great uncle. And he just goes off into a string of curses, muttered beneath his breath, and just remains for a few moments staring into the fire, huddling further into his, what is this, some sort of coat around him, some sort of rug. He doesn't really care. At this point, it's providing him warmth and comfort. And then after a while, he tries to stand up with probably a massive headache, but he doesn't want to remain lying here for any longer.
All right. After an hour or so of debating what your next move is, and seeing that the dwarf is still battered as well as the halfling, and if you have any remaining hit dice that you'd like to roll, you can go ahead. What do you decide to do?
We need to move somewhere, at least in one general direction. What time is it now? Is it dusk?
It is approaching nighttime, yes. Your visibility is now even further decreased, and the only thing you can see now is just 20 feet within you if you have any sort of light source. So it's actually 20 feet of dim vision from the fire and 40 feet 40 feet of dim vision, 20 of bright
We
light.
have two options. We either stay here for the night, awaiting another attack, or we try to move somewhere.
We need to move for sure.
We need to move.
They came from that side, I believe. So
I said no, the other side.
It's
I think we should move in the direction where the terror was heading. Maybe we're not that far from town.
Which way is that?
You remember that roughly the terror was moving in my direction, so it would be like moving along this beeline if you are intending to follow its track.
Did you manage to kill all of them?
One escaped.
The fish
Just barely.
I managed to slay 4 by me own.
I did not
Then
count.
we need to move. If
Yes.
at least one of them escaped, then they will be back.
I believe if they had perhaps some sort of advantage during the night, it wasn't the case. Otherwise, they would have simply attacked us during the night. So I think we'll be safe traveling at night. We shouldn't be attacked, I think.
At least by then.
At least by then.
At least by then.
At least by then.
Doesn't seem to have a good run of luck.
Well, we're still alive somehow.
Barely.
Let's find the closest town, if there is one.
Yes, dwarves were not made for such environments. And Drunril starts walking off in a random direction.
Drunril, please.
Drunril, we're heading in that direction, and I point towards the beeline, basically.
Drunril looks towards where he's pointing to. Ah, yes.
Did you see which way the
He starts heading in that direction.
escape went?
I
He
point
checks his
this way.
backpack, his axe.
It's still there. It's still there.
Then we should walk this way.
I think we
Drunril
should
has already started
walk
walking
towards
off.
where they escaped.
Huh?
You think we should walk towards where he escaped?
The ship was going that way. So at least we should
You're moving in the
walk that
opposite
way.
direction, so
We'll
FYI.
walk this way.
Okay.
Drunril is confused.
Instructions unclear.
I cast mage hand.
Where was it?
Turn him around.
You feel a hand tugging at your shoulder.
Pull you around.
Did you see Craven beckoning to you?
I start going back, frustrated. Where are we going? Do we have a direction?
In the direction where the terror was heading.
Was it that?
No, it was this way according to Frank.
Unless I've hit my head or forgotten.
How sure are you, Frank?
Can I
I'm
try to remember?
44% sure.
Frank, do you have a key mind, perhaps?
At level 5, maybe.
History. 12.
With a 12, you can kind of back Frank up in the sense that the terror was heading somewhere in this direction.
Maybe if it crash landed further on, it would be there.
Let's go.
But one question before we leave.
Trondheim has left. No, don't tell me. No.
I move on to Trondheim then. Tell me, why were these fish people after you? They wanted the dwarf.
Tell me, why were these fish people after me? I have never met a fish person. I do not like fish. And yet I am attacked by fish people. I do not know. First a dragon, now mysterious fish people. I don't know. Everybody seems to hate me.
What seems to be strange to me is that they knew you'd be here. Fallen
Does
from me.
anybody know that you might be here in this location?
No.
Are you sure?
Pretty sure.
Maybe one of the others sold us out. The bear, perhaps.
Can I take an insight check?
Go ahead.
I'm not very insightful. I got a 6. No, 8, sorry.
Usually we do that against this persuasion. I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to ask because I don't have it. What's your passive persuasion?
Passive persuasion would be what? Charisma?
Your persuasion. Oh,
It's usually has
Yeah,
charisma.
-1.
And
So that's a
are you
9,
proficient in it though?
No, -1 would be a 9, no?
Exactly.
So 9.
And what do you get?
8.
Honestly, you're not sure how to read him. Like, he looks like he's obviously confused and not in his right mind at the moment. Probably it's not helping for, to allow you to insight whether he's lying.
Listen lads, I haven't made much enemies. Not that I know of.
Very well then.
But this fish people, the dragon, I'm
I
taking note
believe
of
the
this.
dragon was of his own accord. And I do not believe that the likes of you dwarves would interact with these aboriginal fish people.
Maybe they're looking for another dwarf.
Perhaps.
Might be one.
In either case, it seems like we've got each other's backs. So let's move onwards.
What's your marching order, please?
I take the front.
Go ahead.
Second in line.
I'll just remove the barricades for you. Go ahead.
So write it down.
Action now.
It is not.
And welcome back. As you make your way away from the fight scene, away from your encampment, fighting through the ongoing blizzard and
Sorry.
Just
Hey.
as you make your way away from the encampment, you assume a marching order. You fight the ongoing storm. Snow berated in your face. Cold wind eating away through your armor. It takes you hours, ranging from 1, 2, 3, of continuous trudging through the snow. Eventually, you see dwindling lights in the distance. Warm, yellowish lights. And as you get closer and closer and closer, it starts becoming more and more clear that you seem to be approaching civilization. You see on one side, to your right, which you've been walking now for at least the last hour or so, a massive frozen lake. And adjacent to it seems to be some sort of fishing village. There is, you reckon, at the top of your head, at least a couple dozen or so houses, small lodges, timber built, and also, as I've said before, although the village is flanked by one side by a frozen lake, you also see on the other side, adjacent to it, what seems to be a forest. You navigate towards the village, specifically towards the center of it, what seems to be the biggest of the buildings there, and the most lively, given the late hour and the darkening sky above. This building in particular has a massive sign in front called the Blue Clan, and you can hear music, voices, and general warmth, welcoming warmth coming from within.
The blue cloud.
The Blue Clan.
Plan.
You enter inside. Here is Onuk's voice, trying to reach out over the background dim of a bard, trying to sing away and play at what seems to be a small guitar. You see that the tavern is, well, not overpopulated, but like you can just count the people on your two hands. Onug is in the middle of a conversation. Probably a one-sided conversation, you judge, as he's trying to address the occupants of this tavern. I'm telling you, we crashed not far from here. We were attacked by a great big dragon, a white one, and I think all of you know which one it is. The vehicle, the airship we were aboard, it crashed. I think I was the only survivor, but I cannot be sure. We must march out now. Mobilize a team effort to try and look for any survivors. The ship is not crashed far from here. It's half sunken out in the lake. Perhaps if we manage to mobilize a team in time, we might still yet find somebody out there seeking our help. Please! Who is... And he freezes, because at this point, he sees the door opening and all of you staring at him. And he stops what he's saying, and he just jumps off the podium over there and rushes towards you. As he comes towards you, what do you do?
Take a brace action.
I stare in disbelief.
Onuk, you are alive.
Indeed, my friends! I am glad to see you in one piece. How are you? Is there anybody else alive apart from the five of you?
Not that we know of.
We've just arrived here. We were attacked while we were camping outside by a group of
Fish people.
folk. Fish people.
Fish people.
Fish people. People, but with, like fish. With fish heads.
This
Yes.
day keeps on becoming even more stranger. First a dragon, and now fish people.
You're telling me.
Fishes walking on two legs
And arms.
and arms.
Not walking on the arms, using the arms.
This is bizarre.
This.
Says the bear.
How are you, friends? Are you all right?
No.
Well, now we
We're
are.
not.
at least.
And I throw off my wreck. So now that we're in the war. Right? And I show him my scarred body with holes where there shouldn't be any.
You are a wreck, my dwarfen friend.
I became a wreck twice over the past few hours.
Indeed.
While he's doing that, I take the cloak from the ground and fold it back to my backpack.
The cloak is very sticky at this point. You reckon it needs a good wash. What do you do?
Onuk, it is very good to see you. It's very good to see a familiar face. But food, ale, and a lot of rest is required.
Of course, at once, but before we actually settle down, I must reaffirm with you. Do you know if there are any other survivors from aboard the airship?
It was just us.
Not that we know of. We do not know whether the others are alive.
I'm surprised you're alive. How did you survive the fall?
I've been asking myself that very same question for the last few hours. The last thing I remember was the ship hitting the snow. Thank the gods it probably crashed into the lake. Otherwise the ship would have disintegrated, most probably.
I think if there were only some other survivors, they would have come to this tavern like yourself and us.
I can only hope so. You've gladdened my heart to see you here in one piece. Perhaps, as Zandril has rightfully said, we should recover a bit and see where we're at before we make any sort of plans to See what else is out there, or what remains of the terror. Barman,
While this is going
a table, quickly, and ale and food for the lot of us. And he leads you to a table.
As he was speaking, we were near a table, no? When we entered.
You can say so, yes.
Was there any food on the table?
So make a perception check.
Look at him. So 90. That was Zom actually. 21, not natural.
Can I do one suggestion for the future? Anytime you roll, I think it would be better if you roll underneath or close in the vicinity of the camera,
Yeah,
if possible.
sure,
But
it was an 18.
sure. With the 18, you can see.
21.
With the 21, you see that there's some half-finished food and half-drunken tankards of ale on the table adjacent to you.
As Onok is speaking to us and exclaiming his relief at seeing us all in one piece, relatively, I've started looking at him, nodding vigorously, and also taking food and ale from the adjacent table.
What are the others doing? As you specifically, Jermaine, notice that the dwarf is already greedily lapping up the leftovers.
While the bear was speaking, can I perform an insight check to see if he was feigning joy at seeing us?
Sure.
Be 19. Insight check, right?
Yes. Well, you've only known Onuk for maybe the last couple of days, since you've already, met him back on the Terror. From the little you've talked, you've gathered that he is a man or a bear of code, and he doesn't strike you as the sort of person who could be lying about such a situation, and if he would be, you don't see any sort of reason why he would be in the first place. What do you guys do?
As we're heading in, I survey the other people that are residing in.
Make a perception check. Are you looking for something specific though?
Just to see who's there, just to be cautious.
Sure. So with your passive perception, if that's the case, you don't need to roll anything. You do see a plethora of people. So first of all, for example, on adjacent to you, there in front of the fireplace, there seems to be a seated man, kind of with a tankard in his hand, drinking away some grog as he stares into the fire. Probably, you reckon, doing the wise thing compared to the ongoing snowstorm outside. Adjacent to him is another table with 4 mercenary-like figures. They seem to be well equipped, armored. You do see weapons also resting by the side of their table, and they seem to be eating away at a meal. There is a half-elf on the podium over there. He seems to be plucking away at a sword guitar. At a very small guitar. On the lute, yeah, fair enough. On the far side of the room, you see a sort of ranger-like fellow, long hair jutting from a hooded cloak. You can't make out the features of the ranger's face, but the figure seems to be sipping away also at a tankard of ale, boots rested on the table, back leaned towards the chair. Behind the barkeep is an elderly man, late 50s you reckon, and in front of him he seems to be addressing what you assume is one of the townsfolk. You don't see any sort of weapons on him or anything, it's just a random man, you reckon. And you also see a gnome on the adjacent table next to you, who seems to be actually staring at a lot of you quite curiously. You see two more doors, one of which is on the opposite side of the tavern at the very back over there, and a stairways with another door over here. What do you guys do?
I sit down where the ale is.
Yep.
So and just start drinking my sorrows away at this point. Well, happy that I am alive, but extremely tired.
I was trying to get the people here to do something about the crushed ship. I thought perhaps I wasn't the only occupant out there. I had to swim to the freezing lake, if I'm being honest with you. The ship is already half sunken in the lake. I figured I'd make it towards Termalaine, try and mobilize a team effort, and try and head back out into the storm to try and see what other survivors I could find.
The ship is lost, owner.
Not particularly so. Like I said, somehow it's managed to stay in almost a single piece. It is a good thing it crashed in the lake, not on the solid ground.
But how do you propose we get it out and up and running again?
I'm not saying it's possible to get it out. I'm just saying that it's not crashed to smithereens.
And speaking of, how far from our destination?
What do you mean? Vidus,
We need...
this is the destination. You are in Termalaine.
We arrived. My
Welcome to the most humblest of villages within 10 towns.
And as Drundrel is eating vigorously, right? Eating so vigorously that sometimes chips of wood enter into his mouth and doesn't realize. He kind of catches on a piece of food and this is Termalaine.
Indeed. This is the Blue Clam Inn.
Good job. We can rest for 5 days then.
I would think so after that endearing encounter.
Agreed. And continues eating.
You'll find respite here. Some calm, at least from the brewing storm outside and the dangers which lurk beyond these borders.
And there are no fish people here.
None that I know of,
Dragons.
unless the chef has something brewing in the back room.
Drundrel does not catch on to the joke immediately. And he looks a bit in terror at the room where he assumes that the kitchen is.
In fact, as the innkeeper comes around bearing platters of stew and ale, your gaze does linger a few more seconds than it's supposed to on the innkeeper before he sets everything on the table and walks off.
As I stare at the innkeeper's back with a hateful stare, Drundrel mumbles, "Fish people," and takes another swig of it.
From a fish lover to a fish hater.
Grumby was never a fish lover, he accepted his destiny. How do you say? Unwillingly.
Is he still staring at us?
He is. And Onog interrupts you the moment he sees you kind of staring back towards the dome. I almost forgot. I promised you a meeting with Rongrim Doubleflight, the lone expeditioner who got left behind in Termalaine. Say here. Heads towards the gnome over there, says something into his ear, and the gnome walks adjacent to the bear back to your table. Now there is a massive discrepancy in height here. The gnome is roughly all the way high towards the bear's knees, whereas the bear, who is 7 feet in terms of height, is quite imposing compared to him. Onuk says, I'd like you to meet Rongrim Doubleflight, the last expeditioner, or the presumed last expeditioner of the 20-man crew who set out in the into the glacier. I think you have a lot to chat about. I'll leave you to it. If you need to talk further to me, I'll be on the other table. Also, recovering myself. It's been a long day. And you can see here that Rongrim Doubleflight clambers onto his stool and
Breaks it.
he moves over there. Alright, to you.
He has blue skin. Is that a mouse?
The gnome in front of you actually resembles more a goblin at first, you think, except that its skin is very much bluish. At first you get perhaps it's a bit, it's some sort of bad frostbite which might be nagging at him. Perhaps the weather is not acclimating well to this particular gnome. The gnome is equipped with huge furs, though he does have a round cap around his head. He has snow goggles, a nose which is quite large, which starts out blue and then at the very tip is a bit reddish, and he just stares at you, taking each one of you into account.
You're not a fish person, aren't you?
No.
And I slide some ale his way.
He picks it up.
Not too much, lad. Not too much.
Thank you!
And I take the rest.
Okay, I have to ask you this. You are working with the Neverwinter Academy, aren't you?
Yes, we are.
Oh! You can't know how relieved I am that finally some sort of help has arrived. I hear you've run into some trouble on the way here, though.
Some trouble is
It's a minor
underselling it.
overstatement.
We ran into an adult white dragon.
Followed by walking fish people.
Fish people.
Fish people.
A pack of fish people. A school of fish people.
Motivations
Burger.
seem to be very strange. The dragon seemed to be looking for its hatchlings, and the fish people seem to be looking for the dwarf.
If you were to tell me this a few weeks back, I wouldn't have believed you, but after what I've been through and all of the panic and anxiety I've been forced to endure, no, I'm not so sure. I don't know.
Have you met such creatures before on your travels? or-
No, don't get me wrong. I haven't seen any dragons around, and certainly no fish people, at least not around these parts.
What do you mean at least not around these parts? Have you seen fish people in other parts?
Generous.
Well, there are accounts, at least what I've read back in the academy, of fish-human hybrids. I think they refer to them as Kuotoa, something like that. They had a very unique name.
It's a very stupid name. Fish people is more fish people's name.
I am glad to agree with you. But
We're not here to discuss our fight with the dragon or the fish people. We're here to discuss fish people. Fish people.
Fish persons. Fish people.
Fish folk. We're here to discuss your travels and the dangers that you faced and the reason for this SOS.
yes, again I am. My heart is glad, and that's fine. I'm not alone. I don't know where to begin, to be honest. It's been such a blur.
Shall we begin in 5 days' time? When we are rested.
I think one day would be enough.
2 days. We have just gone through a dragon, a school of fish people.
We spent 6 hours unconscious.
As much as I would like to rest, I want to get this expedition over with. I'd rather get the hell out of here rather than
Perhaps we
stay
could
with God's forsaken.
take advantage of the...
So take your rest, dwarf, but as soon as you're ready, we head out.
Perhaps we can
I
take
agree.
advantage of an extra day to get a claim to this little town.
Yes.
I
Get
don't
our
want-
supplies and...
I don't want to get acclimated to this town.
2 days. 2 days will be enough.
Well, if you need to, the Blue Clement offers some sort of bedding accommodation upstairs.
Where are you staying?
Here. Though I fear that you might run, well, the inn might run out of space soon. As you can see, this town and the inn are not that big. Termalaine doesn't house, I'd say, more than 20 families or so.
Then we better go inquire about those rooms.
I take a quick look around all of them. and then rush off towards the barn.
Yep. You see Dranril rushing off, assumingly probably to barter with the innkeeper for some rooms. You assume.
I take some ale and some food with me as well to eat on the way.
As he's moving away, would you like to do anything?
Better follow the dwarf. And I wake up and calmly walk towards the...
I stay seated at the table.
The gnome also stays seated.
Seeing that this stool next to him is free, I move next to the no. And I lean towards him and say, so you've been here a while, haven't you?
I have. 3 weeks now.
You are, I can say you look like a scholar yourself.
I'm a professor. My name is Professor Doubleflight. Rongrim Doubleflight.
So, have you heard anything about some sort of gem mine around here?
I think there is some sort of mining facility in the close proximity of the town, but I don't know where it is. I have a map though. I wanted to show you the route that the expedition team took. Maybe you'd find something of interest there for you as well. But I'd rather say all of this when all of us are collected at the table instead of...
Fair enough.
Meanwhile, the two of you, Vidas and Dranril, you make your ways over towards the tavern keep. The elderly gentleman there is wiping away at a tankard. What do you do?
We need a room, well, multiple rooms. For 2 nights.
2 rooms for 2 nights.
2 rooms. No. Nobody said 2 rooms. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 rooms for 2 nights.
I'm afraid, though, my friend, that there is limited occupancy.
3 rooms for 2 nights.
I'd say there is limited occupancy.
2 rooms for 2 nights.
2 rooms, I can do that for you, I think.
2 rooms for 2 nights. That is what I said. Good.
So, that will run you roughly... actually, I need to check.
It's free.
Who said that?
It is no problem. You see that small blue man there? He will pay.
You're referring to the expedition guy.
He will pay.
I'd rather I'd hear that from him. Look,
Are you two with me?
I
was
seated.
included with the rations and everything for a single night, it will run you a gold piece per person.
For a single night.
I'd say per room, per night, yes.
Per room, per night.
No, sorry, I take that back.
Per room, per night.
person.
So 2 gold pieces.
So for 4
Per
people
room, per
in 2
night.
rooms, it will cost you 4 gold pieces.
4 gold pieces.
That includes the food accommodation as well.
Do you know that we will be lodging together?
And the warmth of an inn compared to a brewing storm outside.
That we will be lodging together.
Indeed. But still, the inn has limited occupancy, as I said. And I need to think for food as well.
Do you have fish people in your kitchen?
Is that a trick question?
It's a question.
Then no.
I will see what I can do, and I head back towards the professor.
Leaving you Vidas standing in front of the man alone. What are you looking at? As you head back, as you do head back, you kind of overhear on one table in particular, like a couple of people there just talking to one another.
It's been a long time coming, eh? This winter has been in the making for weeks.
It's been due to hit us for some time. A second fellow who's in front of him also eating away at the same meal I reckon it will be even worse these next few months. Always like that. When the season comes later than usual, it hits us even harder. You walk by.
Once I hear them talking, can I just stop? I stop and I interrupt. I say, are you talking about the blizzard, lads?
They look up at you, both of them in confusion. Ugly little fellow, isn't he? Clearly, these two have never seen a Githyanki before as they continue to stare at you, jaw open wide. What do you do?
I asked you a question, lads.
Make a persuasion check. He answers by saying, "What's it to you, huh? Our business is our own."
Very well, I'm just a curious traveler. I came into this inn with a party over there. We just crash landed in that airship that the other person was describing.
I know who you are. Onyx told us all about you.
Then yes, I was wondering if I could ask you one simple question.
Oh, don't worry, Draw. Let him ask us what he wants to ask us. Go ahead.
Have you encountered these coato, or like fish people, before?
Is that some sort of meal that they serve here?
No. These humanoid fish persons that attacked us just before we arrived here.
I think he's high on something. Probably drunk in too much ale.
Trust me, I wish I was like.
I have no idea what you are talking about. What is this term that you mentioned?
These humanoid fish people that somehow, I believe, roam the lake here. Or maybe they're just horror stories, and I've imagined everything.
The first one says, "You're taking the piss at us, aren't you?
No, lads, I mean you no harm.
Move along then, and leave us to our business, and don't come about conjuring stories."
Enjoy your meal then. And I leave them in peace.
Do I hear them talk about fish people?
His passive stealth per se is 11, and your passive perception
I wasn't trying
is.
to be stealthy.
I know, that's why it's passive. Yours is 13, so you do here.
Every time I hear the mention of fish people, they also hear dwarves saying fish people with a tinge of anger.
As you seated yourself back at the table.
No, I haven't seen myself. I go next to the professor. If it is,
Yes.
we need 4 gold pieces.
Okay.
He says okay and gives it to me. If it
He
is,
says, no, that's the DM telling you okay. Why are you asking me for?
we were hired by Neverwinter Academy. Accommodation will also be provided by Neverwinter Academy.
I'm not the owner of the academy. I'm a professor also on their payroll.
Then where are we to get the gold pieces?
Why are you asking me? I don't know. I can't give you that
We
gold.
asked the bear.
What does the bear have anything to do with it?
Wasn't the professor the one who hired us? Isn't he supposed to be responsible for our...
Me? No. I didn't know what sort of help, whether they were sending people in the first place. I have no idea.
Do you have 4 gold pieces?
That's besides the question, though.
That's what you do.
Pieces. Listen. We came here to save your life. Apparently it's not as in danger as we thought. But we traveled a very long way. We went through some very dangerous situations. The fact that we're here is a testament to our drive to defend you. At least, in return, perhaps you may pay for our lodging.
I sit down next to the gnome and I put one beefy arm around his shoulders. Listen, lad. We have all had, even you, a very long few days. Let us now rest, and then we will continue our business. Whatever losses you incur, you will be reimbursed by Neverwinter Academy. You are a professor. We are merely hired mercenaries.
Make a persuasion check.
So that would be persuasion and 13.
He thinks about it for a second. Look, I can't say I'll pay for you, but
I'll inquire whether they're charging you the foreigner's fee. Maybe they'll give you the lower standard.
Off you go.
And the gnome flips away from the table and moves in that direction. What do you guys do?
You think he's ripping us off?
The gnome or the bot?
Both?
Probably both.
Can you hand me the player's handbook so I actually check what the daily tab is?
And ask me one gold and ask that. Sage rule at 10 coin.
Do you think the gnome's SOS was legitimate? Is he making
Drink and go to swindle us of our money.
Mela, what type of inn is it? Comfortable? Modest?
I'm looking for that page actually. Do you have it?
It's page 158. Yak modest 3 silver pieces.
Nice.
It's already a far cry from one.
For a single night's lodging, anyway.
His mother must be a fish person.
Yak poor 6 copper.
Oh, they don't even have enough rooms for all of us, man. This is poor.
Jekk ħalsu għandu.
No, I'll keep it as it is. It's modest. It's modest. It's 1 gold piece per day.
Modest, which one? Wait, in-stay. Ah, sorry. No, wait, modest, it's 5 silver pieces.
No, modest is 1 GP. It says here in the PHP.
Hey, Brill, you have the not updated version.
5 on the
What page?
It's 157.
Yeah, 158.
There is a table on 157.
Wait, that's lifestyle expense, isn't it? 158 at the moment.
But it doesn't give you a price on 158.
In-stay.
154,
158 at the bottom.
Food, drink and lodging.
No, in-stay.
No,
You are right.
in-stay per day.
In-stay.
Solid poor modest, 5 silver pieces.
You are right. Okay. The gnome comes back.
I managed to barter the price down by half that. He'll charge you 5 silver pieces per night, each person.
You'll have to do.
This is a better deal than we got. Thank you, Professor.
Don't take me.
I hope it will be worth our while here. While we complete this expedition.
I go back to the bar.
The dwarf shifts back up. What do you do?
I go back to the bar.
Yeah, and?
Beat the shit.
So, 5 silver pieces.
Yes, I already discussed the tab with your friend over there.
Yes, put it on his tab.
That wasn't what I discussed with him. He said that you would be paying for these expenses.
I take out 1 gold piece, which will cover 2 days. For me, right? Because it's 5 silver, which will 10 silver pieces and 1 gold, right?
Yeah.
I lay it on the counter.
I do the same.
And where is my room?
So this will buy you 1 night for the... No, it won't even buy a night for the 5 of you.
No. That 1 gold piece was for me.
2 nights for you. What about the others?
There's
for
one
the
more
rope.
pieces for me for nights as well. The others will pay on their own.
You notice Jermaine and Craven that the others have stood up and they're negotiating their tab. Yeah. Where's his money? Yeah, there it is.
Don't go to pay also.
Frank will also do the same. As he collects your collective 5 gold pieces, he says, "Alright, it's the first 2 rooms the moment you get on the landing above. Left and right one. The back 2 are already taken." And he hands over 2 keys, which he slides on the table.
I take
one.
He also gives you a third key, which he slides forward and tells you, "This one's to open the door over here.
And what is the door?
It leads to the landing upstairs.
I take that key as well.
Don't lose it or there will be a 5 gold piece charge on the 3 of them."
I give that key to someone else. I'll take that.
Do you have more of that key, by any chance?
Big persuasion check. You see him kind of nod berating his head.
You don't have it.
Unfortunately not, my friend. Make sure you don't lose it.
Who has a key?
I have the landing key.
Okay.
So
You do not use any magic, right?
I do not use any.
You do not have any invisible hands.
I don't have any.
You will be sleeping with me.
Now there are some rules to staying within the Blue Clam Inn. Breakfast is served at dawn between hours 6 till 11. Lunch is not served, it's not included in the price you've paid, but there is an additional dinner in the evening.
Not included.
Dinner will be served between 7 till 11.
You said that this price includes food and lodging. Lunch is
Indeed.
food.
But lunch is not included in the final tab. You are allowed to stay around within the inn 24/7. The inn does not close. However, respectfully, I must ask you not to make any noises between midnight and 6 in the morning.
These terms and conditions are present to us after we pay.
That is not my problem, my friend.
This inn should
It's
look
okay.
way wealthier than it does.
You need to rest. We all need to rest. Let's worry about this in the morning.
I give him a very, very angry stare. And I head off, still staring at him. And as I arrive over here, I'm still staring at him with a very angry stare.
The gnome.
But as I move, I make a detour, grab some food off the table, eat it, take a last swig of ale, and go to the staircase, and still keep on staring at him.
As you maintain eye contact with him, you bump into this table. And you see the gnome, startled by your massive appearance, says,
Maybe before you head upstairs and call it a night, perhaps we should reconvene a bit. All of you. I mean this, dwarf. I don't know exactly what's happening out there or what you've gone through, but perhaps you should sit down for a few minutes and hear what I have to say to you.
Little one, while still maintaining eye contact. Little one, there will be enough time for.
That's just it, dwarf. I don't think there is enough time. These people have been missing for days now. Every second which goes by without us helping them or at least inquiring what has happened.
Stop your shouting.
In what state do you think that we are in? We cannot head out.
I'm not saying that you should head out this very night, but at least hear what I have to say to you.
Tell me then.
We will
We
hear
are
what you
here.
have to say tomorrow.
Good, come.
You will give us night.
Call your friend, sit down by the table, enjoy some more grog once I bring you up to speed.
Quickly before I sleep.
I maintain eye contact.
Can I look around to see if there are any guards?
make a perception check.
Plus 14.
So it depends on what your definition of guard is, but per se, no armored personnel, like with decked out uniforms or anything of that sort, no. That said though, there are like what you make out to be like, for the most part, mercenaries, or maybe they could be also bouncers working by the hour, you know, paid by the bargain, but no official guards per se, perhaps like something maintained on a town level, none of that.
Okay. I tend to do this and I say security does not seem-
You're up front.
I move to the-
Craven, are you joining or what are you doing?
I'm trying to do this and I say security does not seem very tight here. If the innkeeper wants to charge us more than we think he should, we can always bruise him up a bit. See if we can convince him with our fists.
This is truly not dwarven hospitality, and I am disappointed in the level of service which we are being provided. But we shall not resort to petty bullying.
I'll pretend I didn't hear that.
And he drinks his.
What if you agree, no?
Look, I don't argue that this town is pretty much quite lawless. As lawless as they come, in fact. It's a very small town. The only guard station there is miles out in the next town adjacent, probably.
What do you say criminals seem to have free reign in this town.
So, to be honest with you, I think this is the town where criminals go to hide away from the law.
What's the nearest town then?
I believe it is... hang on, let me open my map. You are in Termalaine, my friend. All the way here. At the very bottom of this map. Welcome to the Wreckhead Glacier.
Then this is the lake that we see before us.
The lake you see is this little spot down here.
Oh.
Right.
Right. And what is this? Is this another bigger lake?
That is the beginning of the glacier.
I see.
They call it the Wreckhead Glacier. Friends, feel free to keep this map for the future. It will be your reference and guide should you decide to venture forth.
I see a goblin camp over here. Have you ever encountered the wretched creatures?
Thankfully not, but if I were you, I would talk to Onuk about that. I think he has a job in store, or in mind. Maybe it would be better discussed with him.
And over here, there seems to be a dwarven hole.
And there seems to be a dragon.
That's just on the map.
The gem mine that we are looking for.
Yes, there it is.
Do you have information about this gem mine?
I was hoping you would tell me.
But the gem mine,
Yes.
maybe you should also talk to Onuk as well about that. I think he has something in mind as well there. But you've explained to me that the ship you've traveled with has experienced damage, hasn't it?
His understanding it, the ship is destroyed.
Well, I don't know about its current status, but if there is some way that we can repair it, it might possibly be the location for us to obtain ores and metal from, to patch it back up, if again that is indeed possible.
There seems to be some holds over here. Karak, Kaldur. I'm not familiar with this.
That is
Dwarven hole.
the abandoned dwarven hold.
Abandoned dwarven hold. Tell me more.
Rumor has it that the dwarves of Kelvin's cairn have not dominated the mountain for the last century or so. They say that the dwarves there dwindled into extinction. None know exactly what has happened to them, but for decades now, not a single dwarf has graced these parts.
Until now, I guess.
If it is
Well, at least
dwarven hold.
not a local dwarf, I should add.
If it is a dwarven hold, then perhaps it might hold resources which can help us on our journey. It might be well worth taking a detour into
It's
this Kelvin's
okay
cairn.
for us pilfering your ancestors' remains.
Pilfering. We will not be stealing their treasures. We will be checking to see whether there is anyone who is occupying the hold, and if there are any weapons which lie there, we will put them to use.
Very well.
It is in the way.
But remind me, our objective is this, no?
The anomaly.
The anomaly.
Yes.
My
It is
friends,
the anomaly.
3 weeks ago we arrived within this village after a long but non-complicated journey. Coming all the way from Luskan, we had been traveling for some weeks on foot and upon beasts of burden. So when we arrived here within Termalaine, before venturing further into the Wreckhead Glacier, all of us were glad to spend a couple of days' worth of respite within this town. Not only to recover ourselves, but also to prepare and plan for the expedition ahead towards the anomaly itself. Knowing fully well that the journey ahead now would take us into uncharted and dangerous territory, we took the unanimous decision to leave somebody behind within Termalaine as a means of backup should things go awry. I drew the shortest straw. At the time, I was disappointed that I'd be missing out on the countless scientific discoveries we'd undoubtedly make upon reaching the anomaly. Now, I am not so certain.
I guess you can count yourself lucky.
Well, we were to remain in magical contact, don't get me wrong, all the way through, via the message spell or something similar, throughout the entire expedition. Myself acting as a relay between themselves as they ventured north and the people back in Neverwinter. to relay their status. At least that was the plan. They were reporting steady progress on their way north. But just 6 days in, as they reportedly drew near towards the anomaly, I lost contact with them. I haven't heard from them since. Of course, I've tried countless times to engage with them. At first, I did not think that the radio silence between ourselves was particularly odd. Our magical attempts and instruments have been behaving rather oddly the further north we've traveled. But after the first couple of days of complete dead silence, I started to worry. Worried to panic, fearing the worst for them. I even tried to send out messages to the academy to update them with the situation. Time and time again, I tried to reach you. And when I continued to get no response or acknowledgement, I realized my attempts were continuously futile. At one point, I even contemplated going out myself into the glacier to look for them by my lone self. In hindsight, that was a terrible idea. I would have done it too, were it not for the timely intervention of Onug. I ran into him one night, a week already into the team's absence. Seeing my state of disarray and my feeble, unequipped self about to travel into the unknown, he fortunately talked some sense into me. He promised he would help, and that the very next day he would rush south towards Dogan's Hole and attempt to relay my message towards the academy. The next morning he departed, leaving me more to my dreaded contemplation, unable to do nothing but wait. I suppose that is where he met all of you, in Dogan's Hole. He told me he told me that much. Now that he just returned to Termalaine. That is my situation. I don't know what has happened to the rest of them. The expeditioners, that is.
And how did they travel to the anomaly?
On foot.
Oh.
No. On our way from Luskan, from Neverwinter, and all the way to Termalaine, we came by boat and through land. We would not risk any sort of vehicle approach into the ice. Ships will be useless, of course, and air travel perhaps is not the wisest, given that scientific instrumentation starts to malfunction. The further north you travel.
So you're telling us it's pointless trying to repair the airship?
I don't know what merit it has as of yet. I don't know what we'll find out there in the ice, but maybe it would be a good sort of backup to have if things really get worse.
I'm going to be honest here. I prefer traveling on land. There might be fish people about in these parts. These are strange lands. But I prefer fish people, and I spit on the ground.
The choice is yours,
Then
dwarf.
dragons.
I agree. The dragon was a terrifying sight to behold.
And I saw its mouth.
Let's hope it doesn't come near us again.
We have no berms. Let us keep away from berms.
Perhaps we could secure some sort of land vehicle, not necessarily an airship, but perhaps a cart or horses.
Those are possible, but perhaps horses are not the best option out here. I think you might be able to talk to the tavern owner over there. Perhaps he may rent you some
For what?
snow sledges.
For 30 gold pieces.
You're going to rip us off again.
We'll see.
How you make your way to the glacier is your own choice.
Will you be accompanying us, Professor? Or will you stay here?
I will stay here and act as a relay. Should you come back, I will be able to... Well, I will continue trying to talk to the people back in Neverwinter.
But how shall we communicate to you from here?
I will not be going anywhere. Trust me. I will stay in Termalaine. Should you ever have the need to talk to me again, this is where you'll find me.
Is there no danger here from perhaps third parties wishing to perhaps disguise what has happened in the anomaly by killing you, perhaps?
Yeah, that can't be ruled out at this point in time. You are right, of course. But I think I'd take my chances here compared to anywhere else beyond the glacier.
believe it to be more dangerous then to come with us than to stay alone in this town.
No, on the contrary, friend. I think it would be much more safer to stay here within the confines of society rather than venture out into the unknown.
I agree with the. You are an open, no?
It's not to say that Ten Town is a safe place, but perhaps by comparison safer.
There's no place for such little folk. And I turn towards Frank. Not you. You have your own
He doesn't answer.
special.
He doesn't answer because you realize that he is actually looking at the map quite intensely to the extreme that he's literally hovering over it, mouth half open. There seems to be a bit of drool even coming from the side.
Literally hovering over it.
No, like over the table, on his hands. His amulet has come out of his shirt and is kind of dangling over the map. Specifically, he's looking at this part. He's just looking there. The amulet hovering quite closely to it. You say something to me?
No.
Frank, there's something wrong. You see something wrong?
I think I need to sleep.
My thoughts exactly.
No, before we leave, perhaps you can tell us how long it would take the trip to the anomaly from here by foot.
The way the map is situated, every hexagon you see imprinted here is roughly a day's worth of journey.
And this is the actual rule. What I've given you here is a sandbox. You can literally use this map from now on to navigate wherever you want throughout the Redhead Glacier. So you basically at this point have a marker or a token on Termalaine if you really wanted to. Any sort of travel from one hex to another will take you a single day worth of travel.
Including rest.
It's no, it includes 8 hours worth of rest, 8 hours worth of travel, 8 hours worth of downtime, and 8 hours worth of sleep. So that's like a full day. You could technically push on, do double that if you had beasts maybe of burden, vehicles, etc. But that is the norm. There will be random tables which will roll on for every hex you travel, random encounters, random combat encounters, random loot, random dungeons that you might encounter. Yes, it's completely random.
Are there any hexes that are equivalent to difficult terrain?
There are. So the hexes which annotate the Giant's Fork, the mountain Calvin's Cairn, as well as the surrounding vicinity here of the anomaly, as well as the lake over here, those are considered as difficult, meaning when you traverse through the hex, you would need to roll for you need to roll double the amount of normal encounters. It's so when you proceed through a normal hex, we roll on the encounter table. It's not a guarantee there will be an encounter, but you roll once. But if it's a difficult hex, you roll twice.
But still traversable in a day.
No, it takes twice because now it's split on 2 days.
Okay.
That's why we roll twice, once for each day.
Yeah.
Alright. So shall we rest then? Reconvene tomorrow, plan our route.
Are there any supplies that we should keep in mind? No, to take with us. Besides food and water purchase.
Rations, warmth, though I think is the biggest factor contributing to your safety out there. Weapons, armaments, I do not know what lies beyond, but your quest is clear, I suppose. You must arrive or travel in the direction of the anomaly and hopefully discern what has happened to the rest of the expeditioners.
And where can we stock up on such items?
Here within town, it should be quite easy. Perhaps there will be other settlements along the way. I do know that there is Caer Konig on the other side of the map,
And he points towards another village at the far corner of the map.
which is also a bastion of respite and society. I cannot say anything with regards to the situation to the dwarven hold up there. And there are also some other parts which perhaps I'd suggest you steer clear.
Where do you suggest that we stay clear from?
Well, you can see in front of you, like, I wouldn't go towards the goblin camp unless you really needed to. And perhaps stay away from Kelvin's current summit. And then there is also the Giant's Fork as well, home to the giants of the Wreckhead Glacier, Frost Giants. They also claim that there are Yeti roaming about within the Giant's Fork, not far from the giant encampment.
Yeti.
And they say that there is a horde of barbarians living out, cultists worshipping in great fervor the goddess Orel, nearby the Ice Stone.
It seems like the fish people were only this time.
Barbarians, I understand. Giants, I know. Yeti, first time hearing of such a creature.
My dwarf friend,
But fish people.
the Wreckhead Glacier is rife with dangers, as you might have already surmised.
Most of the dangers you mentioned make sense, and I have heard of them before. Fish people are something new. Do not worry. We will 2 days rest, and we will be ready to go. Are you done?
That's it. Before you do head off, remember, if you do intend to head towards the Germine and the Goblin camp, talk to Onuk. He might be able to help you with that.
We will do so.
And on the other end, if you need anything from me, you'll find me here within the inn, even for the future. And perhaps keep an eye out for any sort of equipment we can use to repair the terror. I do know that maybe we will not be able to use it for this expedition of yours, but it's always good to have a backup plan, no? It would be, I think, in your collective best interest to have such a vehicle at the ready, should we be able to repair it.
Very well. Have a good night and a good rest.
I bid you all a good rest, and we can speak more tomorrow.
And as the map is closed or whatever, I again stare towards the barman. He's looking at me.
And as the camera pans away, the last shot is the dwarf intensely looking at the barkeeper, who is busily washing away, cleaning away, pretending he is busy, but secretly you see him staring back at you. And that's where we'll stop tonight's session.